very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all back to the second day of CMA Sri Lanka International Students Conference 2021 on the theme, Building a Better Future for Accounting Professionals, organized by the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. Before commencing the proceedings of the day, let us all rise for the national anthem of Sri Lanka, followed by the anthem of CMA Sri Lanka. Dignitaries, please be seated.
Ruchira, I think she's having some problem, I think.
Kenny, are you having a technical problem, Kenny? Banuga, can you please check?
Shall we start then? I think she's having some problem. Good morning to all of you. Our keynote speaker today, Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, who is the Managing Director of Lanka Tiles, Vice President of CMA and Vice President of SAFA, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara, the Chairman of the Conference Committee, Mr. Ruchira Pereira, members of the Council, distinguished invitees, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me, today is the second day of the CMA Sri Lanka International Students Conference 2021. We have really been able to organize this event despite the various challenges that we have faced. And I'm indeed happy that the digital media has made a dramatic change in the lives of everyone, whether they be members, whether they be students, the educational institutions, the government, or all places. This has really made a big change. And I must say, as a result of the digitalization, where we have made use of these opportunities, we've been able to uninterruptedly go ahead with what we have been doing. Yesterday, we had a very good sessions with the opening speech of the need for the skills and of course on the accounting education, the new challenges that we are facing. So as far as students are concerned, skills are very important, and this is something that the CMA Sri Lanka are doing in order that we can build professionals who will be able to fit into the business sector and the society. Very area that today most of them forget is the society, but as far as professional accountants are concerned, today our main aim is on value creation. That's an area that we have given our utmost preference on the value creation, because you know that as a student, you have to learn not only the theory, but also the practice. So that's really the difference between a professional and an academic. Academic will be very good in the theory side, but a professional is one who engages in both theory and practice. Even for us, it has really been one of the key areas. And today we have invited someone who will be able to tell you how to succeed in corporate career ladder. Now that's something that doesn't start maybe at the time that you get employment. It starts from the time you start your training. It really starts even from your school days, how you fare in your activities, how you take part in extracurricular activities, how well you do at your examinations. And there are some who enter universities, and then while following the university program, where they do a professional program, or others would directly start after their A-level. Now, those who start after A-level will start at the age of 18 after they complete their A-level exams. There is no waiting time, and by 21, you can qualify as a fully qualified certified management accountant. So you should really
Ability development.
Rujira, I think you need to, Rujira, please mute yourself. So that's something that we have to keep in mind and ensure that the students start their career. So this is something that I'm sure that could be explained by Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara today. Now, another important thing that you have to keep in mind is it's really not only that you all are the budding accountants, but there are important characteristics of a professional. Even in your student days, you need to maintain the highest integrity standards, your conduct, the way you behave, all those things are important. Similarly, these are carried forward because all professional exams now have ethics, governance, which are very, very important for their curriculum. So this is something that you should keep in mind because a professional is different to a normal person. We have a code of ethics, we have a code of conduct, and we also have a designation after our name so that if we do anything wrong, they will always be able to say this member from this institute has done this sort of thing. Further, if you do something wrong, disciplinary action can be taken against you. So these are areas that we need to keep in mind, but we also have to ensure that the knowledge is there. That's why we have recently made changes to our syllabus. Normally we don't do it, but we have made an interim revision where we have brought the digitalization, the digital analytics, the visual data visualization, big data, all those things which are covered earlier in much more detail. Plus, we've also given the practical aspects to all these things. So as far as students are concerned today, we are able to train them in a way that they will be able to fit into the business sector. Business sector is something that we are, yesterday we heard about the attitudes, the attitudinal changes that will be carried out during our program, and also the soft skills, especially the Speechcraft program, which really will change you dramatically to enable you to gain confidence and also make presentations, go for an interview without any problem. So these are some of the things that are there today. I think we have also the next two sessions will be on the sustainability development goals, which is also another very, very important area that we should be aware, and the role of the professional accountant. And the final session is all yours. It is all for the students because that would be how you are really going to look at yourself, how you are going to fit into the society, and a panel discussion which will be represented by all the institutes. So we would like you to show how effective you are, the leadership qualities you have, the various institutes, what they are doing, so that will greatly assist us. So with those introductory remarks, I would briefly maybe introduce Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara. Now he is really someone who's been in the professional field for a long period of time and has experience in very many fields, either on finance or costing or now on a senior management as a managing director. Now your aim should be that once you qualify to go up to that position. So I'm sure that Mr. Mahendra is going to tell you. He's also been a member of the Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, fellow member of Chartered, fellow member of our own institute, and also he holds a very important position in our own organization. He is the chairman of the Cost and Management Accounting Standards Board. And now they are working very, very hard to ensure and get the standards put in place. The framework is already being finalized because today, if you see, most of the problems of the country are as a result of the costing, the expenditure, the financial control. So there are finance people have to play a very, very important role, not only in the business sector, but also in government. I think yesterday you may have heard the SAFA president saying that where there are more professional accountants employed, especially in the government sector, the corruption rate has come down. So the government has to have more professional accountants in order that they will have good management, good services being rendered to the public. So with those introductory remarks, I would now invite Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara. I'm very, very thankful because I know that he is very, very busy. And also someone who's been able to tide over these conditions of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure, I hope you will be able to say a little about that also, because that's a very, very important area, how the business sector was able to do that and how it could be achieved, and how the students can, from their student days, come up and go up to the position of managing director. And I'm sure he's also chairman of very many other institutions, that he will also end up as chairman of this particular institution. So once again, thank you, Mahendra, for coming, and let me invite you now to make the address.
Okay, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Watavala, Professor Lakshman Watavala, President of CMA, Vice Presidents, Council members, distinguished invitees, and fellow accountants, and my dear students. Once again, good morning to all of you. I'm indeed delighted to see each of you connected this morning on digital media to this conference. And Professor, I must thank you for your brief and very eloquent remarks, as well as the introduction. And I'm, of course, very thankful to CMA for inviting me to deliver this keynote address this morning on how to progress in your professional career. When we look at the professional career of any professional, I think first and foremost, we need to understand what is the purpose of professional education. Without understanding the purpose of professional education, we will not be able to embark on our journey as a professional. The purpose of professional education to me is nothing but of being service to society. That is, to me, is the purpose of professional education. We should be able to render service to the society as professionals. And we know that there are many professions. There is engineering profession, there is accounting profession, medical profession, architectural profession. There are so many professions like that. And each profession tries to excel in their own field. Engineers try to excel in engineering excellence. Lawyers try to excel in justice and fair play. Doctors, medical doctors try to excel in medical excellence. And we accountants try to excel in economic progress. So economic progress is a very important thing for countries to progress, because today in this commercial world, a nation's success is judged by the economic progress it makes. So as professional accountants, we have a big role to play in making our nations succeed in the sphere of economics. We need to keep that in our mind. A foremost position in our mind should be given to that idea. As accountants, our role is to make a contribution to the economic progress of the nation. So your role is very important as a professional accountant. Now, when we do that, when we play that role, we should also ask a question. We should ask ourselves a question. That question is whether we are proud to be a professional. Today in this world, in this commercial world, there are many forces, conflicting forces we need to deal with. And these conflicting forces force us to ask this question, many a time. We have to ask ourselves whether we are proud to be whether we are proud to be accounting professionals. I ask myself sometimes whether I am proud to be an accountant. When you look back and see what has happened in the economic world, the commercial world, when the companies collapse, when the economies collapse, when economies go through troubled times, and when we see how these troubles are being handled or have been handled, and the role the professionals have played in this crisis, sometimes actually I find it difficult to answer that question, whether I am proud to be a professional. So first and foremost, we need to make sure that we make our profession proud. We can make our profession proud by playing our role as a professional, as Professor Vatwala enunciated, observing ethics and maintaining highest level of integrity. Now, what we need to understand is professional education or professional qualification or even educational qualifications will only help you find your job. Professional qualifications and educational qualifications will only help you find a job. After you find that job, once you get into that job, once you get into that position, the educational qualifications or professional qualifications will not help you in your progress. Thereafter, what will help you to progress in your career is your conduct, is how you deal with issues, how you apply your knowledge. And it is not, I reiterate, the professional qualifications or the educational qualifications that will propel you forward. It is only the way you apply your knowledge, the way you conduct yourself, the way you deal with people, and the way you deal with challenges. And those are the only things that will ensure your progress or decline in your career. Now, what is important for a professional is to understand that the organizations no longer tend to value the current knowledge you have. Because, okay, I mean, years ago, thousands of years ago, the knowledge in the world was very limited. Maybe one could keep that knowledge in one's head. But today, the knowledge is so vast and it keeps changing so rapidly that no one can keep the knowledge he or she has gathered in professional education or the academic education in one's head. So what is important is whether you can find new knowledge. Now, when we recruit people, when we recruit professionals, we always try to find out whether these professionals can quickly find new knowledge. Because, say, for example, when I qualified as a chartered accountant in 1990, there were only 14 or 15 accounting standards. Today, I'm not really sure of the exact number, but I know there are over 60 or 70 accounting standards. And it is not possible for an accountant to keep all these accounting standards in his head. But what is important is, if you don't know something, whether you know where to find that knowledge. And that is the most important thing, because the knowledge you have today will be obsolete, either obsolete or irrelevant tomorrow. So what is important is how you find tomorrow's knowledge or how you find today's knowledge, because the yesterday's knowledge may not be of much value. I'll give you a small example. Maybe you have heard this example before to tell you how we value the ability to find new knowledge. Once in a university lecturer, a professor, was delivering a lecture to the students. And this professor suddenly found himself forgetting a very elementary formula. Very basic formula he could not remember. So the students were surprised and they started tittering. So professor decided to teach the students a lesson. So what he did was, he called one student and he told him, okay, you go to my office, you approach this book rack, and there is a book in a particular place. In that exact place, there is that book, you bring that. So the student went there, went to his room, picked up the book. It was there exactly the place where he described. He brought it back and gave it to this professor. And he said, okay, turn to page such and such. He turned to that particular page and that formula was there. So professor told or taught these students a very important lesson. What is that lesson? It is not what you remember, but your ability to find the knowledge you need to find, and the knowledge where you can find that knowledge. So students were surprised and students learned that lesson. That is, to me, is the greatest advantage a professional should possess over others. That professional should know where to find new knowledge and how to find new knowledge. Now, say, for example, if I speak of myself, I'm a professional accountant. I have never done science subjects. I have been working in this organization, Lanka Tiles Group, that is engaged in manufacturing ceramic tiles and other products for 24 years. This is my 24th year as the chief executive officer or the managing director of this group. I still don't know how to make ceramic items. But I think my advantage is that I know how to find knowledge or people with the right knowledge to make those items, because it's all chemistry. And that is the most important thing. How you can find the knowledge you don't have. That's a key advantage, a key quality, a key feature, a key characteristic a professional should possess. And progressing in your career is very serious business. I said you have to maintain very high degree of professional ethics, a high degree of integrity, honesty, and you also should work very diligently. Then only you can progress in your career. There should never be sloth or torpor when you discharge your duties. You must discharge your duties energetically so that other people notice that you perform your duties with energy, with effort. And if you do that, there is nothing to stop you from advancing in your career. Now, what you have to understand is, when you work in an organization, there will be happy moments as well as frustrating moments. You should know how to deal with these happy moments and frustrating moments alike. I'll give you an example. Say, if you are a cricketer, you take the bat, you wear all your cricketing gear, and go to the middle and start batting. Sometimes you are not out, but the umpire gives you out. At other times, you are out, but umpire gives you not out. And that is how the game is played. You have to take it as it comes. And when a wrong decision is given, if you are dashing your bat on the ground or throwing your bat away, you are not a good player. You are not a good cricketer. So professionals also, it applies to professionals as well. You have to take as things come in your life, in your professional life. Because in professional lives, when you work in organizations, not even in professional lives, even in your personal life, you always don't get what you deserve. You don't get what you deserve. Sometimes you get what you don't deserve. Both you have to accept in the same spirit. Now, what is important is when you work in organizations, especially private sector organizations and or even government sector organizations, oftentimes it happens that you face many challenges that challenges you, or many issues that challenge you or test you on your professional ethics, in the areas of professional ethics. You have to have, okay, I would use this term, the backbone, to stand up for the right thing and do the right thing, resist the wrong thing. That is very important. As professionals, you should never let anybody break your backbone, because if your backbone is broken, then you will never be recognized as a true professional by the society. I think the professor also touched on this. I want to reiterate, re-emphasize that as professionals, we should make sure that we can work with our head straight and never give up. Never give up. That is very important. You have to have perseverance. You have to have perseverance in achieving your professional objectives. That is the key. I'll give you a very small example. In my case, I can remember I started my career. I was a trainee at KPMG, and then thereafter I started my career at a stockbroking company as a stockbroker, and then I started writing research reports. And I met this gentleman who was the big investor in the stock market then. I'm talking of 1994, 1995. And I was trying to get an appointment to see him. I used to call him every day asking for an appointment that he never gave. And he would always say, call me tomorrow, call me tomorrow, call me tomorrow. So I kept calling him every day, but he never gave me that appointment. One day, after about a year, in the month of July or August, he said, okay, come and see me in January. So I did not give up calling him. I kept calling him, but he never advanced the date to see him. So I went and met him in January, and then we got friendly, and we did one of the biggest privatizations to have ever happened in the Colombo Stock Exchange in 1994-95. And the stockbroking company made a lot of money. And then when the market was down in 95-96 period, I decided that I should leave the stockbroking industry. So I got another job and another offer, and I went and told this gentleman, sir, I'm leaving the stockbroking industry. So he asked me straight away, where are you going? Then I said, I'm going and joining this particular place. He said, no, don't go anywhere. You come and run Lanka Tiles. I was barely 30 years old then. And I was shocked. And a lot of people discouraged me because I had never been to a factory. I had never run a company. I didn't know the ceramic industry. I hadn't done science. mathematics or anything in my studies. I only have done commerce. And people told me that I would fail. But I thought to myself, even if I do fail, it doesn't matter because my professional background will always put me back in another job. So I decided to take that risk and join this company 24 years ago. And the rest is history. So I still try to think, why did this gentleman give me this job when I did not have any work experience in running industry? And the answer I give is that he saw that perseverance I had probably, not to give up. So that is a very important thing. I wish to tell all professionals, a quality you should have, a quality you should inculcate, not only in yourself, but in others as well, not to give up. Fight to the last drop of blood in your professional career. Then people will know that you are not a professional who would easily give up. You will fight. You will not give up. And that also brings up a question. You know, how do you get these offers in your career? Sometimes people do stagnate in jobs. Sometimes people do move. I always tell professionals when I speak to them, as professionals, you should be prepared to do any job. If you are an accountant, a good accountant, in my opinion, can perform any job really. Today, I find a lot of young people who are reluctant to undertake accounting studies, saying they don't want to be accountants. So I tell them, just because you study accountancy does not mean that you are going to end up as an accountant. Because in your accountancy program, you are exposed to a wide variety of subjects. You study economics, you study human resources management, you study statistics, mathematics, financial accounting, management accounting, operational research, so many other subjects, marketing, everything you study. So if you are a good accountant, you should be able to perform any job. Sometimes when I'm invited to conduct mentoring sessions with certain institutes, of course, with the Institute of Chartered Accountants, I have been doing sessions. And when I speak to young accountants, one of the problems I find is that these professionals try to confine themselves to the areas of the profession only. Accountants try to confine themselves to the accounting profession. So when people tell me that they want to leave job, the current job, and they are looking for a job, so I ask them, what is the job you are looking for? 99 or even 99.9% of them say, okay, I am applying for a accountant's position, finance manager's position, head of finance position, internal auditor's position. So I'm surprised why professionals think like that. So I ask them, why do you want to apply for those positions? Why don't you apply for a position of a sales manager, a marketing manager, operations manager, or even a factory manager? Because I believe as accountants, as good accountants, we can perform any job. And then the next point is that we should not underestimate the need to manage our superiors. Because if we were to progress in our career, we need to manage our superiors very well. And also, to a great extent, our peer groups and subordinates. But managing our superiors is of paramount importance. When we talk about personal management or human resource management, the first thing that comes to our mind is managing our subordinates. But managing our subordinates is only 25% of human resource management. As professionals, we should know how to manage our peer groups and our superiors. And that is very important because it is the superior who will do your performance appraisal, who will give you an increment, who will recommend you for a promotion. Your career progress will be decided by your superiors. So you have to manage your superiors very well. And you have to be a leader. You have to be a leader beyond being a manager. Because as you know, these are two distinctly different roles. Manager cannot always be a leader. Managers are not always leaders because managerial function is a very logical function. Leadership function is a very psychological function. Managerial function, when you say management, when you say the word management, the words or the functions that are associated with the management are planning, coordination, supervising, monitoring, controlling, directing. Those are the functions which are logical functions. But when it comes leadership is a psychological function. Sorry. When you say leadership, the functions that are associated with the leadership are inspiring, challenging, envisioning, guiding, modeling, and functions like that, which are psychological functions. So psychological functions means things to do with your mind. Psychology is study of mind. Ology is study, like biology is study of bio. Zoology is study of animals. So like that, ology is study, psyche is mind, psychology, leadership is psychology. So when you progress in your career, you will transform yourself from being a manager to a leader. And good leaders are also good communicators. Good communicators can work with people because leadership is always going together with other people, inspiring other people, challenging your people, helping your people. So it's a very, very psychological function. So you need to move away from your managerial functions and move towards your psychological and leadership functions when you progress in your career. Now, the next thing is, the last thing I want to talk about is, you should not think that, when you go up in your career, professor said you should aim to be a managing director or a chairman of a company, right? And inside boardrooms, you should not think always your educational qualifications or professional qualifications only will matter. Now, what you have to understand, but I hate to say this, inside boardrooms, your school, your family background, your address, your social contacts do matter. But you should not think that without those things, you cannot progress. Those things do matter, but if you are a good professional, if you are a hardworking professional, if you are an honest professional, if you have very high degree of integrity, if you display very high degree of ethical behavior, then you can overcome all these challenges. So what I wish to tell you is, you have to rely on your professional qualifications. You have to rely on your conduct, ethical conduct, your integrity to progress in your career. And when you do that, one last thing you need to make sure is that as much as you are required to be savvy, technical savvy, a new knowledge savvy person. You should always, and also be political savvy also, because it is the political environment that has a big bearing on the results we can achieve through our endeavors. So we should be politically savvy also. We should be aware of the political environment, and we should have a clear vision of the political developments that take place in the country and also the world. So I don't wish to speak further. I think I have touched on this subject the best possible way within the allotted time. Maybe I have taken 2-3 minutes more than what I have been allotted. And I wish you all the best and best of luck. And once again, I thank the CMA Institute for giving me this opportunity to address you this morning. And I thank all of you for this valuable opportunity.
I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience caused due to the technical issues. And that was Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, the Managing Director of Lanka Volatile PLC, the Managing Director of Lanka Tiles PLC. He is a fellow member of CMA Sri Lanka and a fellow member of CA Sri Lanka. He is also the Chairman of Cost and Management Accounting Standard Board of CMA Sri Lanka and a council member of CA Sri Lanka. Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, on behalf of everyone here today, I thank you for that valuable, enlightening speech. Without any further delay, I now cordially invite Mr. Ruchira Pereira to give the concluding remarks. Mr. Ruchira Pereira is a practicing accountant and a lecturer.
Thank you, Kenny. Doctor, your screen has been shared. Dr. Ravi. Thank you, Mr. Mahendra. Thank you for that wonderful speech. You have been a true friend of CMA Sri Lanka. You act as the chairman of our Cost and Management Accounting Standard Board, and even there you do an exemplary job. So I thank you once again on behalf of CMA Sri Lanka and on behalf of the organizing committee for gracing this occasion, for coming here today and sharing your wonderful knowledge with us. It was wonderful.
Welcome.
It was wonderful to know how you have turned many obstacles that came in your way into opportunities, and also with your commitment, hard work, and also with your dedication to gain more knowledge, how you became a successful person today. So it was wonderful to have you with us, Mr. Mahendra. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
So Kenny, maybe now you can start technical session 3.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruchira Pereira, for that valuable concluding notes. Now let's move on for the next technical session on Sustainability Development Goals 2030 and the role of a professional accountant, which is the third technical session of the day. So as we know, sustainability development has become a vital topic in the current accounting profession. It is much valuable for us to gain knowledge on that. So today we can hear more on this topic by the experts. So first of all, I would like to introduce the session chairman and the moderator, Mr. Manil Jayasekara. Mr. Manil Jayasekara is currently the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, and he is also an independent financial consultant at Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC and a partner of Ernst & Young. He was a former council member of the University of Moratuwa and also a former director of HICAR PLC. Mr. Manil Jayasekara is a fellow member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and also a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. So Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara will be the session chairman and the moderator of the panel discussion. With that, I would like to also introduce our first speaker of the day, Dr. Ravi Fernando, who will be speaking on embedding priority of United Nations Sustainability Development Goals in corporate strategy. So Dr. Ravi Fernando is an alumni of the University of Cambridge, having completed a postgraduate certificate in sustainable Business and a Master of Studies in Sustainable Leadership. He holds a Doctorate of Business Administration degree from the European Business School in Switzerland. At the INSEAD Business School, France, he completed both a Diploma in International Management and the Advanced Management program. He has an MBA. He also has an MBA from the University of Colombo, and he is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. And at the same time, Dr. Ravi is the chairman and CEO of Global Strategic Corporate Sustainability Private Limited, which operates in Luxembourg, Ireland, United Kingdom, Vietnam, China, and Sri Lanka. He was also the first CEO of Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology and was the operations director of Malaysia Blue Ocean Strategic Institute. And also he serves in the boards of multinational companies such as LOLC Holdings, Ceylon Graphene Technology Limited, Aiton Spence Plantation, Habitat for Humanity, UN Global Compact Sri Lanka, Ceylon Asset Management, and Global Strategic Corporate Sustainability Private Limited. So now I would like to cordially invite Dr. Ravi Fernando to present with your valuable thoughts.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and members of CA Sri Lanka. I am indeed happy to share a few thoughts on a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, which I believe is going to be needed as a basic subject for everyone in the future too. I hope, Ruchira, you all can see my slide. I hope everybody can see my slide.
Yeah. We can see it. We can see it.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so just a quick word of introduction. I want to mention that when I look at carefully the professional curriculums of majority of the professional institutes in the world, and when I also look at the curriculum of majority of the MBA programs in the world today, this is a subject that somehow is missing. And as a result, it is extremely essential that any 21st century leader who is interested in impacting their business or learning to perform in a business must study independently so that you are not missing what I believe is probably the most important subject on the planet today, because knowing all the other subjects and performing brilliantly in every other field without understanding the impact you're having on the planet and the current status of the planet is going to be futile, because there's no business in a destroyed planet. So with those few words of introduction, let me move on to the subject of sustainable development goals and what I consider to be are, from those 17 goals, the 3 goals that should be priority for Sri Lanka. Let me start by asking the question, so why were sustainable development goals concocted or created in the first place? Because it's not about simply following anyone's direction. We must first understand the background to it. So I'm going to spend a few minutes first explaining the background to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and why it is now almost imperative and essential that every single professional, national leader, or leader of any organization on the planet understands this subject, embeds this subject in corporate strategy, and makes sure that their company is a part of the solution to the sustainability of the planet and not become a part of the pollution or the impact, negative impact to sustainable development. So let me start with a stunning figure for all of your information. From the year 2000, when we look at the last 20 years that we have just gone by, these 20 years have been recorded as the hottest ever 20 years in the history of the planet. We are talking of going back to millions and millions of years. So that is a fact, and it is not fiction. Now, what are the impacts of the 20 hottest years the planet has ever recorded? And how does that translate to impact to businesses, impact to nations, impact to GDP growth, impact to profitability, and impact to business performance? And as a student of this subject, it becomes imperative that every one of you understand these facts and respond to the facts and not ignore the science that is coming out of this fact. So if I've given you some figures here, and this last year, and I can give you some updated figures, we have seen the Antarctic and the Arctic, which is the North Pole and the South Pole, recording the highest ever temperatures it has ever recorded. And I can tell you, while the Antarctic crossed 18 degrees in February 2020, the Antarctic crossed 30 degrees this year in June, July. And the Arctic, which is the North Pole, crossed 45 degrees centigrade. Now just imagine if your fridge freezer, which should be 0 degrees centigrade, crosses 45 degrees centigrade. That is what is happening on the planet today. So what happens when we have the hottest ever 20 years on the planet? How does that impact the world? And I have given you some images here. I have said the world's on fire, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is not to scare any of you, but as the planet gets warmer, if you just turn on to any international news item, you will see there are forest fires in almost every country. Russia is experiencing one of its greatest ever forest fires. We saw Australia devastated with forest fires. California, forest fires are happening now. A week or two back, Greece had unbelievable forest fires. Now, why do we have so many forest fires? And I can first tell you, this is linked to the 20 hottest years on the planet. Are forest fires the only thing we have? No, there are three other very important calamities, and I would call it climate emergencies, hitting every nation, every business, and every supply chain on the planet. And having the world's best corporate strategy that does not embed these challenges and help the business become a solution to these challenges is not going to ever have any results, because your results are dependent on a sustainable planet. A lady called Greta Thunberg in 2019 captured this essence very beautifully. And she has been since then invited to the European Union, the United Nations General Assembly, and to almost every key world forum that studies global risks and global strategies and business. And she captured this essence in a very simple word. She said, our house is on fire. So we have an emergency. Our house here, she refers to the planet. So what are people supposed to do when our house is on fire? It won't be wrong to say, if our house is on fire, the expectation is to put the fire out, not to keep the fire burning forever and ever and watch the fire destroy your house. And that is what we call the climate emergency. So with that, let me go into the global risks report. So every year, the World Economic Forum gets together and they focus on identifying what are the major risks the world is facing. And at the World Economic Forum in Davos in 2020 and 2021, and as you know, these are now virtually held. They are not held in person since COVID put a stop to that. But in both the 2020 and 2021 identification of global risks, they identified 5 risks in each year. But I want to focus on risk number 1 and risk number 2, and then touch very briefly on the other 3 risks. So the first risk the World Economic Forum, please remember, when the Economic Forum decides on a risk, it is those risks which will directly impact global economies and business performance. And that is the key message I want to first give you. They don't just identify general risks, they identify risks that will impact directly the economies of the world. So the first and number one risk they have identified is extreme weather. The second risk they have identified is climate action failure. The third one in 2021 is human environmental damage. Fourth one is infectious diseases, and we are experiencing COVID-19. And I want to, for those of you who are infected or have had a family member infected or anyone, I want to sincerely encourage you not to give up. This is going to be something we have to live with the coming centuries. And I can tell you, infectious diseases, pandemics are going to increase and not decrease. In fact, the previous pandemics that hit the world in the last 10 years, and this is also linked to the 22 years of the highest temperatures, were the H1N1, SARS, and we had the MERS virus and the Ebola virus, but these were all regional viruses. Now we have a global pandemic, and I can tell you from now, every pandemic that is going to come is going to be global because of the global interconnectivity. Lastly, biodiversity loss. What do we mean by biodiversity loss? Nations, in the name of development and profitability, have been destroying the biodiversity and the forest cover and primary forests of the world to the tune of, they have destroyed almost 80% of the world's forest cover in the last 20 years. 80% of the forest cover in 20 years. And Sri Lanka has done one better, and we have destroyed 84%. In other words, we have destroyed more forest cover than the global average. Right, so these are recorded as the global risks that we'll face every business will face, every nation will face, and ignoring them is ignoring them to our peril. And I can tell you today, having doing my work in Europe, mainly in Europe, that every business who has ignored this have basically ended up not delivering their profit results, because you can no longer ignore these 5 global risks. So corporate strategies which haven't a sustainability strategy embedded in its corporate strategy, I will tell you, are to no longer valid and no longer relevant. Same for nations. So is this something that happened suddenly? So let me tell you, between 1987 and 2021, we have had 34 years of knowledge about what is happening on the planet today. In fact, the first report that was done at the United Nations was done in 1987, and it was referred to as Our Common Future, the World Commission on Environment and Development. And this was led by the then Prime Minister of Norway, Brundtland, and it is now referred to as the Brundtland Report. In her report in 1987, she said that the planet is warming and that the world needs to take urgent action in terms of the cause of the planetary warming. And here is the cause, ladies and gentlemen. The cause of the planet warming, I have put an image on the left-hand side, is the burning of fossil fuels for energy automation in the world. And I can tell you what fossil fuels are. Fossil fuels are coal, burning coal for energy and for whatever requirements, burning petroleum, burning natural gas, burning diesel. These are the 4 reasons that for the last 34 years, we have had global warming, because all of the carbon dioxide that these fossil fuels emit are trapped in the Earth's atmosphere which then leads to the warming of the planet. So I told you that the world has ignored this and not exited fossil fuels in the last 34 years. In 1992, after the 1987 report, there was a summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, called the Earth Summit. And in 1992, many nations, about actually 194 nations of the United Nations, got together and said, we have been ignoring the climate emergency as reported in 1987. We need to exit fossil fuels. Let's do this urgently. And they made a commitment to exit fossil fuels, not reduce, exit fossil fuels by the year 2000. Then in 1997, there was a big summit in Kyoto, Japan, and it was now referred to as the Kyoto Protocol. And once again, world leaders, business leaders got together and said, we have been ignoring the climate emergency. We have to exit fossil fuels. Nothing happened. Then we come to 2015 Paris Agreement, when 196 countries for the first time signed and said, we must exit fossil fuels, and every nation and every business must give a plan to do so. And at that time, they set the target at 2030. Now, please realize that the global target for exiting fossil fuels first moved from the year 2000 to the year 2030. Now, very soon in November this year, there's going to be what is known as the 26th COP meeting, where world leaders are getting together once again, virtually, of course. And in the 26 meetings that have happened, every meeting said, we must exit fossil fuels. Every business and every country must give a plan to exit it. And I can tell you, 34 years have gone. And as a result of the science denial, we now have climate emergency as the #1 risk to the planet's economy. So what are extreme weather incidents? There are 3 kinds of extreme weather incidents. Extreme weather incident #1, unprecedented temperatures. Now, I have already shown you in my previous slide that unprecedented temperatures are averaging between 41 and 54 degrees centigrade, and California recorded 55 degrees centigrade temperatures this year. Majority of the Middle East is recording 41 to 50 degrees temperatures. So the first impact of having ignored exiting fossil fuels by world leaders in the name of economic growth and national leaders and business leaders is we are now experiencing unprecedented heat, unprecedented temperature rise. And I already told you the last 20 years were the hottest ever recorded. And if you're watching the world news even this morning, 2021 has now been recorded as the hottest year recorded on the planet in the last 20 years. So 2021 is the hottest year, and July was recorded as the hottest month ever recorded in the history of the world. And this is, of course, impacted by the forest fires in Russia, the forest fires in Europe, and the forest fires in Australia, and the forest fires in most of the world's nations. When heat begins to hit the planet, what do we end up having? We have droughts, and these droughts then end up fertile ground for forest fires. So now I hope you see the connection between the second extreme weather incident is forest fires. #1 is basically heating of the planet, which leads to drought. #2, and the third and final extreme weather incident pummeling the planet today, even as we watch, is unprecedented flooding. We saw London flooded, we saw Europe flooded, Germany, Luxembourg, Italy, all were flooded. China was flooded. We see floods happening every other day. So this is what they mean by extreme weather incidents: droughts as a result of extreme temperatures and flooding. Now, the second issue that is being mentioned here is climate action failure. What do we mean by climate action failure? So let me not mince my words, because when I do my teaching, I am very forthright and in calling a spade a spade. Climate action failure, ladies and gentlemen, who are watching this program, is failure on the part of national leaders and failure on the part of business leaders and failure on the part of world leaders to, for 34 years, to ignore the climate emergency. That is the failure they're talking about. Now we get to the subject of sustainable development. So if you watched that previous slide, the first time the word sustainable development was ever used in the world in a report was in our Common Future report, the Brundtland report called Sustainable Development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So let me tell you, as many of you on the course today, on the session today, are our future generations. I can tell you the leaders of the last 34 years have significantly compromised your future by ignoring the climate emergency for 34 years. In fact, in 1987, this report was presented at the UN. Then this is Prime Minister Brundtland presenting it. And in 1988, a testimony by Judge James Henson of NASA to the United States Congress confirmed the climate emergency was upon us. And of course, the US leaders ignored it as well. So the first global leader to do something about the climate emergency was none other than UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. And Kofi Annan, who was the UN Secretary General at the time, launched the first strategic initiative to start exiting fossil fuels and addressing some of the key issues of poverty, education, gender equality, child mortality, maternal health, combating health diseases, ensuring environmental sustainability, and building global partnerships. So there were 8 goals that were at the time launched, referred to as the Millennium Development Goals. So what happened? Only 2 out of the 8 Millennium Development Goals were achieved in the period 2000 to 2015. And actually, both of them were achieved because of China raising people out of poverty. They were able to raise nearly 200 million people out of poverty. And China was able to achieve majority of these things. And that is the one thing that China didn't achieve, however, and the world completely ignored, which was the cause of the climate emergency. And I want to come back to that point as often as I can, because there's no point doing 101 other things without exiting burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuels is what is causing the climate emergency. Okay, so that is the first time the word Millennium Development Goals were launched. And then we come to the Sustainable Development Goals. So when we had 8 Millennium Development Goals to be achieved, the world achieved 2 of them. Now, after reviewing the extremely poor performance in terms of achieving the Millennium Development Goals, the world got together in 2015, Paris, and said, we have to do something about exiting fossil fuels. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, now we are in our 34th year of ignoring the science, ignoring the warnings, ignoring every report that has been published. And basically, the world continues to ignore this to its own detriment. And now, extreme weather incidents are pummeling the planet. And I'm going to give you a statistic. Between the year 2000 and the year 2015, on average, there were 150 extreme weather incidents in those 10 years. Now listen to the figure between 2000 and 11 and 2021. In the last 10 years, the number of extreme weather incidents, which are extreme temperatures, drought, and flooding, hurricanes and flooding and all of that, the figure has gone up to 700 incidents per annum. That is why extreme weather is our biggest challenge. So how is the world doing with their sustainable development goals is the next question. So let me tell you the first key review of the Sustainable Development Goals and the NDCs. So what are NDCs? NDCs are nationally determined commitments. And what were these nationally determined commitments? One of the biggest commitments was to exit fossil fuels. And these commitments were made and signed in the Paris Agreement. And there was a review done as at 2020 December after 5 years of commitment. And let me give you the bad news. According to the UNEP emissions gap report, the world's 196 countries are 70% off the target in exiting fossil fuels and the commitments they made in Paris. So now, if the world is to achieve the Paris Agreement, you have to first achieve the 70% that we have dropped the ball on, and then also catch up and achieve the 100% which is needed between 2021 and 2030. So let me give you further news and facts on this. Whatever I'm sharing with you are facts and data and are not stories. So the fact is that on the 17th of May 2021, BBC had a report, which was a report of the World Meteorological Organization, and they gave us the news that by 2025, not 2030, ladies and gentlemen, anymore, that the planet will cross one of the worst increases in temperature, which is plus 1.5 degrees on the base year of 1880, and which will lead to catastrophic impact to the planet and catastrophe in the form of climate extreme weather incidents. And let me just tell you, just in the last 4 months to 5 months, we have had a 280 billion economic loss due to the climate emergency activities that are pummeling the planet. So this is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, when your house is on fire and you have a crisis like what we are having in the world, then the world's leaders and the business leaders must ensure they have an urgency for putting the fire out and an urgency to address it. So what are the things that Sri Lanka should be prioritizing from these 17 goals? I'm not saying that these 17 goals should be ignored, but I am telling every country that I teach this course, every nation that I'm working with, please, we have gone past the time of trying to do 17 things to save the planet. The time has come for you to address 3 things with urgency for the climate emergency. And if you ignore that, you will be having a devastated planet that you have to face the music on. So let me tell you the devastation as per the IPCC report, which was just presented in July this year. The International Panel for Climate Change presented their report. And what did they say in it? They said, if when we cross the 1.5 degrees centigrade, the tipping point, the planet will lose $54 trillion from its global economy. $54 trillion. And $54 trillion is basically wiping out 60% of the world economy, because now the economy is $90 trillion. And they said if we cross 2 degrees centigrade, which is also imminent, we will then lose $67 trillion. So please understand, we have 2 major issues coming up. So what are our priorities? Now I'm going to tell you something about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has destroyed 84% of its forest cover, and only 30% of its energy is coming from renewable sources. The president of Sri Lanka made a commitment that we need to get to 70% of renewable energy by 2030. So then what should be the priorities for Sri Lanka? And that is my last slide, ladies and gentlemen. What should be the priorities for Sri Lanka? Number one, we have to exit fossil fuels. If we persist with fossil fuels, if we persist with more coal power plants, more thermal plants, then we, Sri Lanka and the rest of the world, will cross that 1.5 degrees much faster. And I can tell you, every country's commitments matter. I want to say goal number 7 is the number one priority for Sri Lanka. So how does a company address this issue? The question is, what percentage of companies in Sri Lanka have moved to renewable energy as a solution versus polluting fossil fuel energy, which we get from the grid? Here's the story I can tell you. I work with 2 companies, and I can tell you that in both the companies, we have been able to cross 120% and 73% of our energy requirements from fossil fuels on 2 of the boards I sit. That is the kind of leadership we need. And every single one of you, whatever role you're playing in a company, start driving your company to move to renewable energy. Because if you persist with fossil fuels, your company and our nation becomes a part of the problem. Number 2, harvest the rain. You must understand, when we destroy our rainforests, when we destroy our forest cover and tree cover, we are basically affecting the rain cycle. Rain cycle needs the trees. The trees also give us clean oxygen and absorbs toxic wild oxygen and absorbs the heat. So the next key story is connected. Goal number 6 and goal number 15. We need to ensure that we protect our water and harvest the rain. And we need to reforest with urgency, because if we don't reforest, we are then going to be absolutely directly impacted by the climate emergency. So what I really wanted to leave with you is, if your company or you are in a company that is having a corporate strategy, ask the question, is goal number 7 in the corporate strategy? Have we got action to reduce our use of direct fossil fuels and moving to renewable energy in our company? And I can tell you, the national average for solar power is 1%. 1% in a country which has 365 days of solar and sun at us. So this, if your company doesn't have a strategy to protect forest cover and to increase forest cover, then have a strategy to do that. Lastly, what is your company doing in terms of harvesting the rain? Now, I'm not saying for a moment the other 17 goals are irrelevant, but my subject today was, what are the priority goals that Sri Lanka must address if it wants to be part of the solution to the climate emergency, not the pollution of the climate emergency and not a cause of the climate emergency. European Union nations are rapidly moving towards achieving 100% renewable energy driven by 2025-2030. In fact, majority of the Scandinavian countries are already at 100%. So the European Union is leading the charge. I can tell you, we need to really get worried about what is happening. And I'll give you a very good reason why Sri Lanka must worry about it. Sri Lanka is listed as among the top 5 most vulnerable nations to climate emergency when we cross the plus 1.5 degrees barrier in 2025. Now, if that is not a good enough reason for Sri Lankan business leaders, and Sri Lankan national leaders to act on the climate emergency with urgency, then I can't think of any other fact. So if you are planning to be a 21st century leader in any company, irrespective of whether your course is teaching you sustainable development and the climate emergency, start learning about it today. Because 21st century leaders are those who, number one, respect the science and understand the climate emergency. Number two, they understand the reality of the triple bottom line, which says build economic strategy, but ensure you don't harm the planet, but help people progress. That is triple bottom line thinking. The third one is to ensure that you have a 21st century mindset when you develop corporate strategy. And the last and final one, which I want to leave with you, is if you consider yourself a 21st century leader, the next fourth most important thing, and I want to leave everyone with this message, is develop an urgency to impact the climate emergency. I'm seeing many companies make commitments to achieve their targets in 2050, in 2060. Some companies are saying we will exit fossil fuels in 2040. Ladies and gentlemen, any company making commitments beyond 2030 are fooling themselves and are denying science. Basically, what they are saying is we don't believe the science. So I can tell you, as you watch the news, when you hear a company or a country saying we are going to do this by 2040, 2050, 2060, these are leaders who are quite happy to let the climate emergency happen in the planet. They are not having an urgency. So with that, I thank CA Sri Lanka for giving me a chance to share this very important message with you. And I hope today in the audience, the 100-odd students and anyone would have understood that the world is facing a climate emergency and we need to believe in the science and act on it, not give lip service with commitments that are going to happen once the planet is destroyed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Fernando, for that interesting and informative speech. And we were privileged to hear from a personal as you, sir. Thank you. Moving right along, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne to deliver the speech on environmental management accounting. Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne currently serves as a senior lecturer in the Department of Accounting at University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. He is a fellow member of CMA Sri Lanka and CIMA UK. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura and master's from the Postgraduate Institute of Management. He has also earned PhD in corporate sustainability and sustainability accounting from the Griffith University, Australia. He is a renowned speaker on sustainability, sustainability accounting and reporting, waste management, and integrated reporting. He has over 60 research publications in internationally renowned journals, conference papers, books, and book chapters. He is a committee member of the Environmental and Sustainability Management Accounting Network, Asia Pacific. It's a great privilege to welcome Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne to deliver the speech, and the moment is now.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I thank you, Kavini, and hope you can hear me and see my screen.
Yes.
All right, thank you. As Dr. Ravi explained, Sri Lanka and the world is facing so many sustainability challenges. And today in my presentation, I'm going to talk to you about a tool that the accountants can use to contribute to corporate sustainability and sustainable development of the world, which is environmental management accounting. So this would be my presentation outline. I'll be covering 4 areas in my presentation today: corporate sustainability, and then the environmental management accounting systems, then EMA tools and techniques, and the pathways for professional accountants. So moving on, corporate sustainability. Well, as Dr. Ravi nicely explained, there is increased public awareness and regulatory pressure and the media coverage of extreme weather events, then the industrial accidents, the pollutants, the deforestation, the biodiversity loss, and so forth. So that the corporations have to be environmentally prudent. So they have to take serious actions towards environmental issues or sustainability issues. Now, this is where the process of corporate greening started to take place. Now, that is where the companies started conserving energy. This is where the company started minimizing solid waste. As he nicely explained, in two of his companies, they are changing, moving into renewable energies and optimizing waste management practices, minimizing the use of environmentally friendly practices, then conserving biodiversity and engaging stakeholders. These are some of the corporate greening practices that are actually taking place. Remember, this is not corporate greenwashing, but this is where the companies genuinely take actions to reduce, contribute towards sustainable development. So when you take these corporate greening practices, a question that arises is that, is there a business case for sustainability? Is there an economic rationale for the environmental management actions you take? Well, we have two thoughts, two contradictory views, two camps of thoughts. One is the negative gains view, that's the traditional view, and then we have the positive gains view. So let's look at the negative gains view. So according to the negative gains view, there is an inverse relationship between environmental protection and the economic success. In other words, higher the environmental protection activities you pursue, there will be lower economic success. And this is the traditional view. And this is the view that many of the accountants, many of the professionals still hold. But the researchers and the companies have shown that there is a positive gains. So that means you can achieve economic success by being environmentally protective. By following environmental protective actions, you can achieve economic success as well. And this is the modern view, and this is the view that we need for the future. But the question is, how can you achieve this? Because just because you are following some environmental management practices, just because you are following some CSR practices, you won't be able to achieve economic success. Then this is the management challenge. And how do you do that? Now, that is where corporate sustainability comes into play. So corporate sustainability is a process. It's a process of reducing negative impacts and increasing positive impacts on 3 P's, that is profit, planet, and people. So this is a process, and you need to manage it. You need to plan for it. You need to make decisions. You need to control it. You need to evaluate the performance. So that is where sustainability accounting as a language of business will comes into play. So it will help the organizations in operationalizing, in implementing corporate sustainability activities. In other words, without numbers, you cannot actually talk about sustainability. Without numbers, without facts and figures, as Dr. Ravi explained, we cannot talk about sustainability. Even at the corporate level, we need to have the numbers to convince people and drive these sustainability initiatives. And that's where environmental management accounting will play a key role in corporate sustainability. Well, what is environmental management accounting? There's no exact boundary for environmental management accounting because this is an evolving subject. This is a subject that is developing day by day. But everyone agrees that environmental management accounting, or EMA, is the interface between traditional management reporting and environmental strategy. So it's a connection between management accounting or management reporting and environmental activities that a company pursues. And this is one of the widely used definitions of EMA. So it's the identification, it's a collection, and the analysis and the use of information. I'm sure for all the accountants, this is a familiar term because we followed American Accounting Association definition of accounting, and it's the same thing here. So EMA, being a subset of accounting, follows the same definition. So, but the difference here is that EMA expands the horizons of traditional accounting, because in traditional accounting, we normally talk about monetary information. But here we expand the horizons of EMA by focusing on physical information on energy, water, material, then waste, biodiversity, and so forth. And EMA provides information in physical terms as well as monetary terms for various stakeholders. Now, that is where we can identify two types of EMA systems. Physical EMA systems, where you express where you carry out accounting in physical unit. It can be kilograms, it can be meters, it can be liters, it can be the number of species, likewise. And remember, this type of accounting will not be necessarily practiced by accountants, but it can be practiced by energy managers, the naturalists, sustainability managers, and people from different functional areas. Then we have the monetary accounting side. That's where we express these units in rupees and cents, and that's what is familiar to accountants. Right. Now let me show you one example where a hotel in Sri Lanka, how a hotel in Sri Lanka uses environmental management accounting information for various purposes. So they have installed rooftop solar panels, and what they do is on a regular basis, they get the solar panel reading. So this is the source document of EMA information where you record EMA information in physical terms. So you have the meter readings so that you can calculate the energy amount saved per day. And then you can assign a monetary value to calculate the energy saved in terms of monetary values. With that information, you can calculate payback period. You can use this information for external reporting. You can use this information for budget setting, KPIs, variance analysis. So if you have the information, if you collect the information, and if you identify the information, you can use EMA information for decision making at corporate level. Then another example, this is how JKH reports on natural capital. So they are following 6 capital integrated reporting model. For their natural capital, this is how they report. So they are reporting on energy consumption, the non-renewable energy sources in terms of gigajoules. So this is physical EMA information. Then they are reporting on energy consumption per million rupees of revenue. That's a composite indicator where they combine physical information as well as monetary information. And also they are reporting on environmental fines, that is purely a monetary environmental indicator. So you can see the companies are already reporting on this. So with that, you might be interested. Okay, so companies are doing this. What are the environmental management accounting tools and techniques that will be important for accountants? Well, I can give you a list of tools, starting from energy accounting, carbon accounting, waste accounting, biodiversity accounting, capital budgeting. So you can see a list of environmental management accounting tools and techniques. So there are 2 things I want to highlight. Number 1, some of these tools like capital budgeting, activity-based costing, energy accounting, these are the extensions of traditional management accounting tools. On the other hand, we have new tools like carbon accounting, material flow cost accounting, sustainability balance scorecard, eco control. So these are the new tools developed to help the corporate sustainability agenda. So EMA tools represent either extensions of traditional management accounting tools or extend the developments of new tools. Now let me quickly show you how you can use EMA information for various purposes at corporate level. So if you have the EMA information to collect details, you can use them for decision making and you can use them for control and stewardship purposes. For decision making, you can use them for efficiency improvement, cost volume profit analysis, make or buy decisions, capital budgeting, short-term decision making. And then you can use control information. You can use EMA information for various control purposes like budget preparation, KPI setting, various analysis, environmental risk management, and also external reporting such as sustainability reporting or integrated reporting. Let me share with you a few examples of how companies are using EMA information for various purposes. So now this is again JKH, how they report on energy. You can see they are following GRI guidelines and they report on energy consumption in terms of non-renewable energy sources. So they report on the 3 years. Then you can see they are following scope 1 and scope 2, that is carbon emissions, and they are reporting on direct greenhouse gas emissions as well as indirect gas emissions. So they have generated internal information and they are now using that information to report for external parties. Then another example, waste management. We know that waste management is a serious problem in Sri Lanka as well as in the region. Why? Because we get mixed waste. Therefore, when we get mixed waste, we cannot go for separate waste management strategies like minimization or incineration. But if the waste is mixed, then we will not be able to go for different waste management options. So if we have mixed waste, or if mixed waste, the basic principle, the fundamental principle is to separate waste management at the point of origin. And let me share with you how Sri Lankan companies are doing it. Now, this is one of the hotels in Sri Lanka, and you can see how they collect different waste management, how they collect different waste streams into bags. You can see color-coded bags, and at the point of origin, when they clean the guest rooms, they separate the waste at the point of origin. So they have devised a nice waste management strategy. How? Because they have waste information. So how do you generate waste information? Now that is by carrying out a waste audit in your organization. So we are familiar with, as accountants, we are familiar with audit, but this is a waste audit. So what is a waste audit? That is a formal structured approach to quantify the amounts of waste and the types of waste and the departments who are generating waste in your organization. So if you have that information, you can devise a waste management program. Again, going back to my original definition of EMA. So EMA will support your environmental management strategy. So here, if you have waste information, you can devise a waste management program in your organization. Now, this is a waste report. This is a sample where you can identify different waste streams and what happens to these different types of waste and who is generating these different types of waste streams in your organization. If you have this information, you can go for the next step, that is to devise, or that is to develop a waste management program for the organization. So what I highlight here is that you need to have the numbers, you need to have the figures, and then you can go for a credible and effective environmental management action programs. Now, this is how we started developing at my own university with the support of international bodies. This is how we started training the future accountants on waste audit, how to conduct a waste audit. So we gave our students the bags of waste, and they were supposed to, they were requested to separate the waste and identify different waste management options. And this highlights two things for me. One is that we need to continually educate, we need to continually build the capacity of the accountants or the professionals in sustainable development. Second, if you can engage your stakeholders, it can be your employees, it can be your guests, it can be your distributors. If you can engage your value chain partners, you can come up with innovative solutions for the sustainability challenges you face today. Then you might be wondering, what are the EMA benefits you get? What are the benefits of following EMA practices? Well, I can divide them into three. Compliance benefits: you can ensure compliance with regulators, you can ensure compliance with your internal standards or certification bodies. Second, you can ensure your competitive position. You can portray your organization as a green organization. You can truly contribute to sustainable development. Third, you can improve the eco-efficiency. You can increase the resource utilization, which will contribute to Sustainable Development Goal 12, sustainable consumption and production. And I'm going to share with you two examples, two case studies where the Sri Lankan companies are how the companies are using EMA information for various purposes. Number one, how a hotel is using a solar panel, rooftop solar panels for various purposes. Now, if you, as accountants, we will not allow to go ahead any project if the payback period is 2 years or maximum 3 years. But this particular organization uses an extended payback period for the green projects, because if you look at rooftop solar panel, they might take 5-6 years for the payback. So they are using extended payback periods. Second, they are using this information to communicate with different stakeholders, and they are using a green book to communicate or to educate and to enlighten the guest. And with that, they can strengthen their strategic position. At the same time, they can portray their organization as a green hotel, where sometimes you will be able to charge a premium from the customers. Then another organization, this is in the garment sector, and this is how they're using food information, the food waste information, to reduce their food waste. And we know that in Sri Lanka or in this part of the region, we have huge garment factories where we have more than 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 employees under one roof. So normally these companies are very generous and they provide food, free meals. So that the food waste becomes a major problem for these organizations. And this is what this company has done. So they have firstly identified how or in which department the waste are generated. So they have separately calculated the waste coming from kitchen and the canteen. So when you have the information, when you have the quantities, you can start devising a waste management strategy. For example, if you have kitchen waste, then you can dig into identify why there is kitchen waste. It can be due to employee training, because employees are not trained, so that the kitchen staff are wasting the food or the food items. Or it can be supply chain management issue, because you are not buying the correct food items. Or there can be some storage problems, there can be logistic problems. So if you can identify the quantities of waste and where it is coming from, you can go for a waste management strategy. It can be employee training, you are improving your logistical arrangements, or supply chain management. Or if you can identify the waste is coming from canteen, then it's about, your employees are wasting your food, and it's about employee awareness, capacity building. Or sometimes the food is not tasty, and because of that the food go wasted. So it's about training your employees and identifying what the exact needs of your employees or the guest, and then you can devise a waste management program. So what I want to highlight here is that you need to have the information, you need to have the quantities, then you can go for environmental management programs or practices. Finally, let me highlight the pathways for the professional accountants. As Dr. Ravi explained at the beginning, yes, most of these sustainability accounting knowledge and the skills come from external training, because the traditional courses do not or they have not incorporated sustainability, or it can be sustainability skills or accounting knowledge into their curricula. And that's why there should be external or in-house training. And that is where the universities and the professional accounting bodies have to play a proactive role to embed sustainability skills for their students, for their future accountants. Now, when you go for sustainability accounting or sustainability education broadly, you have to go for a transdisciplinary approach, because sustainability is not a subject that you can practice in your disciplinary silos. So you need to have transdisciplinary knowledge for sustainability. For example, accountants should know a bit of engineering and the engineers should know a bit of accounting. And that's where we need transdisciplinary approach for sustainability education, or even for sustainability accounting education. Now, let me share with you two examples from Sri Lanka and how a professional accounting body, CMA Sri Lanka, and how my own department has introduced sustainability accounting into the curricula. So let's take CMA case. So as we all know that CMA is the first local accounting body that introduced sustainability management accounting in 2012. That's their previous syllabus. Then CMA is having seminars, workshops, conferences of this nature, and then again the award schemes to build awareness and to create enthusiasm about sustainability accounting. And also in 2014, CMA launched environmental management accounting guidelines for the Sri Lankan enterprises. And I'm happy that I was able to be a part of that project. And this book is available online for you to freely download from the CMA website. Then, since this is the student conference, I thought of specifically talking about your syllabus. So in your professional program from 2018 to 2022, there are various places where sustainability or corporate sustainability is taught. For instance, in advanced management accounting, you are introduced sustainability management accounting. So that's the management accounting side. Then there is corporate reporting, that's the reporting side of sustainability. Then in strategic level, there is management accounting for corporate sustainability, 30% of the syllabus. And there is business strategy aspect of sustainability. So CMA has taken many steps to incorporate sustainability into their curriculum. Now, let me take my own example, Department of Accounting, University of Sri Lanka, and how we have done it. So in 2011, we introduced a course called Corporate Sustainability Accounting, that is to focus on management accounting aspects of sustainability. Because we have introduced sustainability reporting from 2000. So 20 years back, we have introduced sustainability reporting. But we realized the reporting aspect is not enough, because you need to know how to internally manage it. So that's why we introduced sustainability accounting as an elective course first in 2011. Now, from the next syllabus revision, this is going to be a core course because we have identified the need for sustainability accounting. So we know the importance of grooming future accountants on sustainability. So that's where we gradually incorporate the sustainability accounting into various management accounting courses. And we have introduced separate course on corporate sustainability, because for us, it was a journey, because we also wanted to develop capacity. We also wanted to do some research and to understand the Sri Lankan practices and the global practices. And we have followed the gradual journey in introducing sustainability accounting into curricula. And our students work on different projects to understand the transdisciplinary nature of sustainability. They develop case studies. They have to select real life organizations, and they have to work with engineers. They have to work with naturalists. They have to work with sustainability managers to develop case studies. And also we have made compulsory field visits, guest lectures, group discussions, all to provide the practical or the pragmatic orientation of sustainability. And here you can see few photos where our students visited a mining company to understand how industrial accidents are taking place and how you can reduce the industrial accidents in a mining company. Then again, visiting tea factories to identify the waste management and dealing with different personnel, engineers, to identify the source documents of EMA information. And these are all future accountants. Visiting waste management facilities, solar parks, and going into rooftops to understand waste management practices or the water management practices. So we were able to do this. It was a challenge for us, but we had the right leadership, and we were able to introduce sustainability accounting gradually into our curricula. So as an educator, as a researcher, what I can say is that for us, sustainability was a journey with a lot of adventure, with a lot of excitement. And I'm sure for the accountants, this will be a journey with a lot of adventure, with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of interest. So it will be a journey that will teach you a lot about your destination. So with that, let me come to the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for CMA for inviting me to share my thoughts. And if you want to get me connected, so I'm on this is my email address. You can follow me on you can get connected on LinkedIn, or you can follow my work on Google Scholar. So thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne, for sharing your thoughts and your knowledge with us. And I request you to stay back for the panel discussion, which is to be conducted in a short while. All right, now we have come to the final part of the technical session 3, that is the panel discussion on Sustainable Development Goals, moderated by Mr. Along with Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne and Dr. Ravi Fernando, we also have South Asian Federation of Accountants Member Institute representatives as panelists, starting with Mr. Mohammad Ali Haider Chowdhury, the Chairman of Global Affairs and SDGs Committee, the member of International Relations Committee of South Asian Federations of Accountants, representing the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants, Bangladesh, followed by Dr. V. Murali, Senior Partner of Victor Grayson Co. Chartered Accountants, India, representing the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Mr. Dishan Subasinghe, Joint Managing Partner of Moore Iyer Chartered Accountants, Sri Lanka, representing the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. And Mr. Kusal Nisanka, the Head of Finance and Administration at Colombo Stock Exchange, representing the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. Now I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, to start the panel discussion. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Manil, Dr. Murali, who is supposed to join from India, he has not joined yet. So you can start the discussion with the rest of the panelists.
Okay. Thank you, Ruchira. I think we heard two very interesting and topical discussions by Dr. Ravi Fernando and by Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna, both basically dealt with two areas of this whole equation of sustainability, the Sustainable Development Goals. So Dr. Ravi Fernando touched a lot on the importance of the environment and the climate change that is happening because people are ignoring this whole equation. I think Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna touched on the measurement techniques and things that needs to be done when it comes to environmental accounting. Just before I start the panel discussion, I would like to just bring everyone down to the page. Actually, the Sustainable Development Goals, I think as Dr. Ravi Fernando mentioned, there are 17 of them. We only touched a few. If I may just share with you all, I think Professor Jeffrey Sachs of the Columbia University put this in a quite a nice way. He said, it's a shared focus on economic, environmental, and social goals is a hallmark of sustainable development and represents a broad consensus on which the world can build. So that's where this Sustainable Development Goals started. And I think Dr. Ravi Fernando just illustrated some areas how it has developed. So in 2015, the United Nations put out 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And they also put out something like 169 associated targets. So this was done in 2015, by the way, right? We are in 2021. We have gone through 6 years. I think Dr. Fernando shared with us some of the achievements, and I don't think we as a world population can be very proud of these achievements. So these sort of goals included poverty, hunger, health. We are in a health crisis now. It included health, education. It included climate. I think Dr. Fernando covered a lot on climate, climate change, the gender equality, water, sanitation, energy, environment, and social justice. So these can be, in a nutshell, put as sustainability, economy, society, and the environment. So these SDGs are much wider than what is there. And the question now is how we sort of address this and embed these and actually move on achieving some of these goals. So that's where hopefully this discussion will take us. So before I start the discussion, I would like to probably address to Tishan on what do you think is being, I think Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna mentioned various things about how measurement is done, and we believe that if what you can't measure, you can't manage, right? So this whole equation about capturing the information, measuring them, and then making sense out of this whole equation is also critical thing. So Tishan, how has these concepts been treated in the reporting space?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, now since we are addressing students here, I like to highlight something. Now there's a bit of a confusion in terms of reporting in the context of sustainability, especially in the context of corporate reporting. Now we have these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals introduced by the UN. Then on the other hand, we have concepts like, or the frameworks like GRI, you have integrated reporting, you have ESG, and I know for a fact among students, there's a bit of a confusion. All these things are there, how these things are interconnected, right? So therefore, in approaching your question, first of all, let me just shed some light on that. Now, Dr. Ravi Fernando did an excellent presentation on the SDGs, the 17 goals. I think these talk on sustainability of the planet, saving the planet, as Dr. Fernando rightly highlighted, it's been there for 30 odd years. And this UN 17 sustainability goals, if I'm not mistaken, back in year 2012, in the UN Global Conference, it was decided to come up with defined goals as such, right? So what does it do? It basically provides kind of a global partnership to save the planet, kind of global partnership to save the planet. And it's been developed on a broader platform, these 17 goals. And as of today, I must say, so let me look at the short term, right? Out of these 17 goals, Chairman, now take the third goal, good health and well-being. It's been challenged at the moment across the world, right? It's been challenged. So it's a priority at the moment to save the people and to ensure well-being of the people. Take goal number 15, life on land. It's also been challenged at the moment. So there's a short-term requirement to attend to this. I think at the moment, the authorities, the governments, they have basically prioritized on these two. And let me take goal number 7, affordable and clean energy, right? So it's a broader concept, but then let me narrow it down. Now, Chairman, we were just planning on a charity project, that is, to donate some oxygen cylinders and some related affiliated equipments to help out these COVID-19 infected patients. So we planned this, we started this 2 weeks before. And last week, we obtained quotations, and yesterday we did the procurement, went and handed over also. But then yesterday when we went to do the procurement, right, and when we purchased, the price has been increased in a considerable manner. So so oxygen, that's kind of for me, the way that I look at it, it's kind of a energy source for a human being to survive, right? And and now from last week to this year, when I look at the increase in prices, the affordability of the very important ingredient for a human being to survive, increased. And then where are we heading? Where are we going? So, so in that, right, that is the broader context. Out of the 17 goals, I believe at the moment, these 3 goals in the short run, in the immediate future, we need to be really focusing on these 3. So taking these goals in a broader context in terms of corporate reporting, Chairman, now it's been kindly narrowed down into certain frameworks. You have GRI, then you have Principles for Responsible Investments, PRI, then you have integrated reporting, it's a reporting framework, then you have Sustainability Accounting Standards Code and the related publications, and you have the United Nations Global Impact. So the corporate reporting is sort of narrow, and it happens within various frameworks, and it's happening practically. Now, for instance, Chairman, these two of the institutions that I am involved with, one is a university. I'm a council member of a government university there, and I also serve as a chairman of an insurance company. In developing the strategic plans, as much as possible, we have aligned our goals into these SDGs wherever possible. So likewise, institutions are now working towards these goals. And in the corporate world, there are frameworks for that. Now, my other point is how a cost and management accountant can support. Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna, he did an excellent presentation on EMA, Environmental Management Accounting. Now, in the context of corporate reporting, there are basically 4 things to do a perfect reporting, right? 4 pillars. First of all, it is required to define performance goals and matrices. Then you need to measure those performances. Then you need to evaluate those performance, and finally you need to manage those performance. That's where a cost and management accountant can add value in terms of defining performance, measuring performance, evaluating performance, and managing performance. That's the cost and management accountants. That could be the contribution. So these things have evolved over a period of time, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tishan. If I may just turn to Mr. Chowdhury, I think he's the chairman of and Global Affairs and in the SDG committee, and maybe he can probably discuss with us also some experience in Bangladesh. Chowdhury, if we were to put how serious are corporates in maybe in Bangladesh and maybe the government to some extent in adopting and incorporating these goals into their businesses as well as their strategies.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So, the chairman of this session, Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, President, CS Sri Lanka. So it's always a great to speak in front of a bunch of talented and young, energetic youth. So basically, it could have been much more exciting for us to having this program physically, but we all know why we are having this program virtually. So we are getting jailed in the frame of Zoom, and we know why we are having this session on Zoom. And this current pandemic situation reminded us about the need of the foremost valuable resource, the pure air, the supplier of our every second life, oxygen. So currently I am having staying in a tea garden outside of the city, having some leadership program with CMA students. So I was very minutely going through the presentation, excellent presentation of Dr. Ravi Fernando, and especially as a management accountant, the presentation on environmental management accounting, Dr. Nuan Gunaratna. And if permits, I took note of note from his presentation. I will carry it down to my institute and try to incorporate some of these in our new syllabus. So basically, as long as Bangladesh is concerned in achieving SDGs 2030, so Bangladesh government has made a 5-year plan and developed this called SDG tracker online, and government involved all the community, ministry, civil society, NGOs, and it's a whole of society approach. And our Prime Minister is directly supervising this project. As far as corporate bodies are concerned, government is organizing, promoting awareness, having seminars. So out of these 17 goals, I can say some of the 8 areas Bangladesh is doing pretty well. Especially Bangladesh did well overcoming poverty, hunger, education, gender equality, water and sanitation, but still struggling with that we face in terms of health, inequality, urban and human sanitation. But government is the top priority is focusing on renewable energy, and government have a huge incentive on solar energy system, but lot more things to be improved in terms of infrastructure and industrialization. So my message, as this is a forum for our younger generation and the students. You know, there are two bodies apart from our sweet home. So there are 2 more homes. One is our body, another is planet. Even if you look at the Youth Days observed 2021, and the slogan is transforming food system, transformation innovation for human and planetary health. So I'll not prolong my speech. I mean, Bangladesh is doing quite well, promoting, but lot more things to do. As Mr. Ravi said, that the pace, the acceleration should have been done compared to the, and actually what is happening, the pace has to be accelerated much more than what the pace is having in Bangladesh. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary. Thank you. Then we go to Kushal now. Just to, I'm actually talking to you, probably asking you this question more in terms of the fact that you are also in the CSC. How has how have you encouraged businesses in probably from the CSC point of view? How have you encouraged businesses to do better reporting on sustainability? One of the things that I foresee, I will come back to, I think, Dr. Nguyen and Dr. Ravi both, on this whole equation about, to me, sustainability is the cornerstone of everything. Everything else actually follows. If you look at sustainability, automatically, in order to sustain your business, you will have to ensure that your maybe sources of raw materials are there. You have to ensure that you have social well-being looked after. So everything else falls into place once you decide that you need to build a sustainable business. So given that whole equation, how has maybe from a general CSC corporate reporting point of view, how has they addressed some of these sustainable development goals in practice?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So we have started our journey actually 6 years ago. In fact, in 2015, we have started this journey in order to bring this sustainable development reporting, in fact, to Sri Lankan corporate. So we have exchange itself. We joined to UN initiative of Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative. Actually, that is the organization where actually headed by UN Secretary General and with the combination of UN other supporting organizations. So this organization is the combination of a UN supported organization, stock exchanges worldwide, and investors, companies, regulations, government around the world. So we pledge our commitment. So initially, in order to enhance the Sri Lankan perspective, as you said, so we initially thought to enhance our commitment, stock exchange commitment. So we have joined there, and so then we got some technical insight from them how we can broad-base these concepts in Sri Lanka. So that's our commitment. In 2015, we joined to this initiative. So then after that, in 2018, with the support of this SSC initiative, Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, we launched our sustainability reporting guidelines. So that's another guideline we issued to the corporate to understand. So we thought we have not stopped from issuing this guidance. So we have partnered with GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI South Asia. Then we have started some seminar series, a workshop series a couple of years ago. So initially we worked with the top leaders of the corporates. So the GRI South Asian, that their individuals came and they did the presentation. So we initially wanted to get the commitment from the top of the organization. So the workshop, at the workshop they delivered the importance of the GRI and sustainability and all those areas they discussed. So then I think we conduct a couple of workshops after the initial workshop. So then initially with the top corporate leaders, then followed by then the top people in the finance field, the people who are the one who are reporting this in works. So then the second, third group of the finance teams and the organizations, we work with this. So that's our objective, was to popularize this concept and importance. And then subsequently, there are some few guidelines also we are now working. So initially, basically what we want to promote the reporting. So if you have a good reporting framework in your organization, as what we learned from the two presenters earlier, so automatically the organization benefiting and the countries benefiting, the population, the people of the countries benefiting. So in order to example, now we talk about the previous in the solar power. So then in the corporates, they can report on the energy saving, those areas. So in order to have their systems in place to capture data and the reporting framework, so that was our engagement. And the future also, we are now in the discussion to at least starting with voluntary disclosures for integrated reporting. So that's where we have learned around 120 companies, they do some kind of sustainable reporting in our exchange out of our 280 of the companies. So most of the companies disclose in GRI disclosures. And now we are in the process of at least launching voluntary disclosures for the integrated reporting. And we have already launched sustainable reporting initiative, reporting guidelines. And right now we are in the discussion of issuing like green instruments, right? Green instruments. So those are like we call sustainability instrument. And then we can go further on sustainable bonds, issuing sustainable bonds under that, and probably then the sustainability index sometime after that. Those are our plans. And so we see the companies with sustainable business are able to attract foreign investments. So that's another key we have to learn, because we found recently one of our solar, one of the company listed on the exchange with exposure to especially solar energy resources, not in Sri Lanka, but in other part of the world. So that company, we saw many attention of the foreign investors, especially even this year we have a net outflow, but we saw this particular company have a good, healthy foreign investment. So we see, I think the Western part of the world, they have already realized the importance of sustainable things. And this now is a learning curve for us. I think as country, Sri Lanka has gone more on this area. And the exchange, we are actually popularizing the reporting part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kusal. I think we have run out of time, but I'll just ask two questions. One from Dr. Ravi Fernando. How do you think corporates and even from a professional body point of view, I believe that many of these development goals have to get incorporated into their strategy. Now, if you cannot do that, I don't think we are going to get anywhere. Primarily in most corporates today, our strategy seems to be maximizing profit, which is good. Not that it is bad, but in maximizing profit, I think you need to focus on the sustainable development goals, because that is what is going to sustain your business to the future. Maximizing today may not necessarily, you may not be in survival in the future, because if we have environmental disasters, as you quite rightly put, we may not survive, right? So, Dr. Ravi Fernando, how do you think that this can be incorporated into many people's strategy? I think it has to come into the strategy of the country, it has to come into the strategy of the businesses, and it has to come into the strategy of the professional bodies as well in some form or the other. So how do you think that this can be incorporated into the strategy?
Thanks, Malin. Thanks for that question. From the research that I have conducted mainly in Europe, once again, Manil, through INSEAD, and the Institute of Directors of Luxembourg, one of the things that we researched very recently was a comprehensive study of European directors in leadership, and to understand from them what percentage of directors in European companies were aware of the climate emergency and the need to embed sustainability strategies in corporate strategy. And you'll be quite shocked to know that the figure that we got was 1%. So in other words, globally, at least at a European level, we have 99% of directors in leadership and CEOs in leadership who actually weren't able to articulate what was the climate emergency and why was it necessary to embed sustainability goals in leadership. They saw it more as CSR activities, which will make their company look good in a report. And this was much more about reporting for public consumption as opposed to a company-wide strategy money. So one of the things that we have done as a result of this is, I think, the real challenge is how do we get current directors of companies, current CEOs of companies, totally understanding these two subjects, because until we do that, we are never going to see them act on it. And one must also say, Manil, that all the education that has happened in the past years, we have never embedded these subjects in curriculum. So it has not been in MBA programs, and I can vouch for that even at INSEAD Business School. After many years of pushing it from 2005, they finally embedded the subject in 2012, 7 years after I started the journey to get INSEAD Business School to do it. And INSEAD is, as you know, among the top 3 business schools of the world. Now, just imagine our MBA programs in Sri Lanka, our various professional courses, they are not embedded. So one key message is to at least ensure future generations of business leaders coming through these courses, whether it's an MBA program or a professional course, have a curriculum item that they can actually be seen as a core curriculum item and an essential curriculum item. So that's my first idea. But the second idea is, so what do we do about all the leaders who missed this subject in curriculum? All the leaders who were not sensitized to this subject in leadership. Now, are they all to be blamed? No. I honestly believe that no one can blame any leader of a nation or a company because their curriculums didn't capture tomorrow's agenda. So I think the second key strategy that we should be adopting is how do we ensure we give them the opportunity to catch up on this topic and be totally inspired? Because if they don't do that, they are not going to lead the company with what I would call a 21st century mindset. And what we have also created is a program which Manil, you're aware of, which is being run at CA Sri Lanka now, called 21st Century Board Leadership Strategy Model Masterclass. Why? Because we want to make sure all those people who unfortunately missed the opportunity to learn this subject get a chance to totally get into this subject and be inspired to lead their companies from a strategic sustainability point of view. Because as you very rightly pointed out, what big deal is there for a nation to generate massive GDP growth at any cost, burning fossil fuels like coal and low-cost fossil fuels, when the climate emergency weather events will come and wipe it out one morning? So much better to be all become part of the solution than to be a part of the problem. So I think the last thought I want to leave with you, Manil, is finally, companies need sustainable mindset leaders. And we have to ensure every single leader in every single business and in every single organization and in the nation are somehow given a chance to adopt this subject and adapt to this subject.
Thank you, Ravi. Dr. Nuwan, final question quickly. There is a question from a participant. Basically, it says that Sri Lanka is wrong. It says in Sri Lanka, there is a wrong concept that the person who has the biggest wealth is the most successful businessman. But if you dig deep into detail, to see the damage he has created in society. Actually, this moves into my question with Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne. Basically, isn't this whole equation about short-term gains for long-term for the long term? So basically, we tend to even our curriculums, everything, we tend to focus on this profitability and the short-term gain, but at the expense of the medium to long term, which obviously is not measured and brought in. So therefore, it is difficult to focus on it as well. What detriment or what damage you're creating by earning this profit in the short term. So that also is an issue why, because the measurement techniques and whatever that we have today, yes, we do integrated reporting and all these things. They are, I think, as Ravi Fernando quite rightly put, it is good for reading, but not necessarily there's a society and everyone doesn't necessarily pay enough attention to all that and convert that into value. So when you don't convert that into value, that's very difficult to say you have generated value in one direction, but you have actually the cost of generating that value is not really incorporated in that whole equation of measurement. So what are your thoughts, Doctor? This my equation about the short term versus long term or medium term is one of the issues with sustainability economy, because a lot of companies now say some of the things that you mentioned. This is additional cost to a company. So if you are looking at very short term, why would I want to do that? Is the question. So how do you sort of address that scenario from a education point of view and from a measurement point of view?
Well, I think it's a question that is very difficult to find a direct answer, but you know that as Dr. Ravi Fernando mentioned, the first is the education, the capacity building at different levels, from the top level to the bottom level and across the value chain. Because we have many of these problems because of the problems with regard to the awareness. That's number one. So education wise, capacity building wise, we have a long journey to go. But you know that's kind of a paradox, because you know that in Sri Lanka, we already had this sustainability mindset over millennia. But what has happened is that due to some of these some other value systems, we have forgotten about the traditional value system. If you look at our lake system, the other systems that were traditionally there, we already had this, but somehow or other we have forgotten, and we have replaced our original value system or the indigenous knowledge with alien knowledge, and that's another problem we are having. That's where we need more research, and that's where we need more capacity building. That's where we need more education. That's one side. Then when it comes to professional accounting bodies, as Dr. Ravi Fernando and others rightfully explained, we need to groom the future accountants for the future sustainability agenda, because we are teaching professional accountants. We are actually having a curricula to develop the future accountants, so that we have to envisage what is needed for the future. And that's where I am sure that even the professional accounting bodies can play a major role. And one more thing about the measurement side, which you asked. Now, I think integrated reporting is a nice reporting model if you really embrace the integrated thinking in your organization, rather than treating it as a simple reporting model. If you go for integrated thinking, you will be able to see the interconnectivity between these different capitals and how these capitals will enable you to create value in the long run for different stakeholders. Because what we have seen through many research in Sri Lanka is that companies follow integrated reporting for a reporting tool. No, it has to be the integrated thinking, and where integrated reporting will be the outcome of such endeavors. So if you can follow these frameworks wholeheartedly and genuinely and understand the very principles, I'm sure that you can go a long way. And just one more thing, just before I wind up, we have two concepts. One is that reporting driven sustainability, where you have sustainability reporting first, and that might drive sustainability. Or we have sustainability driven reporting. So you can follow either way. It can be reporting driven sustainability or sustainability driven reporting. Whatever the way, you will improve the corporate sustainability performance. But we have a long way to go in terms of education and so many other aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wan. I think I'll wind up with a few final words. I think Dr. Ravi Fernando clearly put out, unfortunately, this long way to go, we are running out of time. We started this journey in 2015. We are in 21. We have already lost 6 years. We have maybe less than 10 years to go before 2030. So the question is, how do we accelerate this journey? I think is the question that one has to ask. So in that process, I think as the discussion went through, there is a lot to be done from a education point of view, and educating not only the professional institutions, but educating the general public as well. Meaning, I'm sure if there is public outcry to say that, we will not invest in companies who are destroying the planet or something like that, I'm reasonably sure they will be forced to do certain things from strategy. So we have, I think, a lot to do in educating the public as well as our own professional bodies, so that our studentship and our new members that are going to come out with this thinking, which will obviously influence the processes going forward. So that is one area I think we need to focus on. There are other, out of the 17 SDG goals, as accountants, we can influence 9 of them directly. Others also, not that we can't influence, but direct influence. So things like even reducing poverty, we can influence. Quality of education. Now, this whole thing about putting it into syllabuses and things like that comes with quality of education. So that is something that I don't think we have paid some attention, but not necessarily enough. If we are going to achieve this target in 2030, maybe we need to get some aggressive attention placed on that. Gender equality, then decent work and economic growth. I think Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne mentioned about, this responsibility in consumption and production. Now, once again, I come back to something like measurement, because we don't measure the negative impacts, because these are all things that are going to happen in the future. There is no compulsion for you to really embrace things of the future. So today we do more historical reporting, and the historical reporting doesn't probably capture these kinds of impacts. Sort of things like, I think Dr. Ravi Fernando touched climate action. We have a lot to play in this whole equation. And I think things like partnership for goals. So these are some of the goals of the sustainability framework, global objectives that we can actually play a role as an accounting fraternity. And I think from whatever, I think the presentation that it is was made, it's a call for attention to say that we have wasted 6 years. I don't think we can waste the balance 9 or 10 years. We need to get it done, but get it done as of yesterday. So if I hear the message right from the panelists, it's a question of accelerating this whole equation, environment, social. It's not only environment, there are social impacts as well, which I think we didn't touch on, but there are social impacts. So environmental, social, that whole equation, plus of course the governance framework also needs to come into place. So with that, with that thought, I will sort of end this session. So I hope people take this whole equation of SDGs seriously and move forward. So as an educational institution, they also have as professional organizations or professional accounting organization, they have a role to play in this. Plus, I think there has to be a lot more education done to the general public, because I'm sure if there's pressure from the general public, automatically some of these strategies will incorporate all these things. So with that, let me wind up the session. I know we have gone a little bit over time, but this is an area I don't think you can easily debate on, because this is very, very important to society and the world and the planet. Because if we don't have a planet, I don't think we can survive in the future, right? Okay. With that, thank you very much. And I hope everyone in this audience took note of all these things, and we move forward. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ravi Fernando and Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne, Tishan, Kusal, and I think Mr. Chowdhury has left. Yes, and thank you to him as well for sharing your useful thoughts on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator, Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara, and our panelists for the day for your valuable contributions and imparting your knowledge and wisdom that would empower us in our lives. And it was indeed a pleasure to have you all with us today. And with that, we have come to the end of technical session 3. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time and patience. After a very short break, Isuru and Hafsa will continue with the technical session 4. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I think we should start, why don't others take over and start?
Isru, you can start. Isru and Hafsa, you can start. Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Now we are in the technical session 4, the final session of our International Student Conference. In this session, there will be one speech followed by a panel discussion. It will be very much valuable for everyone, and hope all of you will enjoy listening to this session. So now, I would like to introduce our session chairman, Mr. Mahendra Jayasekara. He is a council member of CMA Sri Lanka and also a fellow member of CA Sri Lanka. He also functions as an independent non-executive director and the chairman of the audit committee of Samasa Life Insurance PLC. Now, let me ask you something to think. How important a well-balanced life to us as professionals? Well, what I think is everything in life has to have a balance. If you had a doubt how to balance your work life, then now it's time to sort that out.
Yes, of course. Work-life balance is of utmost importance to any professional. Your output and performance depends on your well-being. Those who fast-track their career growth are those who have a good work-life balance. Our speaker today, Mr. Niranjan De Silva, is the former director and CEO of Metropolitan Computers and head of Human Resources and ICT of the Metropolitan Groups in Sri Lanka. He is an electronic engineer with a BSc Honours degree from the United Kingdom and an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management of the University of Sri Lanka. A business consultant, coach, and trainer in self-development. Has trained more than 7,500 professionals in Sri Lanka and overseas on effective communication, self-development, and career growth. He was honored with the Achievers Award from the Postgraduate Institute of Management alumni for outstanding contribution to business and society. Now, it's time for an outstanding speech from Mr. Niranjan De Silva. We are glad to invite you, sir.
Thank you, Madam, for that very kind introduction. Good morning, friends. I'm going to talk about work-life balance. And I will start with numbers because you are finance people, right? And my experience with finance people says that finance people understand numbers better than words. So let me put some numbers. And also in the previous discussion, also we discussed what gets measured gets done. What gets measured gets done. Now you cannot measure unless you have certain numbers. So do you know, ladies and gentlemen, young ladies and gentlemen, we all have 1,440 minutes a day. We all have the same. No one gets more, no one gets less. And that is equal to 86,440 seconds. Now ask yourself, now the seconds are going, the minutes are going, what is your return on the investment? I see a lot of profit and loss statements, balance sheet. They are all talking about rupees or dollars. My question is, what is your return on the investment on time? Rupees and dollars, friends, we can always earn. But time, once gone, is gone forever. You will never, ever get it back. So this is more serious than the money component. I know a top businessman in this country, a billionaire businessman, and he has basically analyzed how long he's going to work for. You know, how I am going to work for so many years. And he knows now how many minutes he has. He was telling me, Niranjan, I have only so many minutes to work. I mean, it was a pretty big number where he's hoping to work for a few more years. But the fact is, he's measuring his performance against the minutes gone. And I think that is the essence of this presentation. Do we make the most of the time we have? My research clearly shows people who use this 1,440 minutes to their best They are the people who fast track their career growth because they do not allow a single minute to go by. But people who do not use the 1,440 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, it's gone. It will never come back to you. So from today, I want you to practice certain things. You know, when I give a presentation, I want you to take 1 or 2 things and start practicing, because international research shows if you don't put into practice what you learn within 4 hours, there's no point attending any of these sessions. So please, from this, my session as well as the previous sessions, please make a note. What is my learning? What is it that I had to put into practice, and put it into practice within the next 4 hours. That means 4 into 60 minutes. Start measuring return on investment. So now let's discuss, how do you get the most out of the limited time you have? How do you make the most of your 1,440 minutes? Ladies and gentlemen, it all starts with a plan. You know, all organizations have vision, mission, goals, objectives. Yeah. And research clearly says if an organization does not have a clear vision, mission, goals, objective, it might not last very long. Why? Because they are not too sure which way they want to go. And that is why every organization, it is essential to have a clear vision, mission, goals, and objectives. Now, research is very clear on companies. Research is not so clear on people. But the personal research that I did clearly shows if you don't have a personal vision, mission, goals, and objectives for yourself, you can crash faster than an organization. Why? You are by yourself. You are just one person. Organization has other resources, but you are one person. So if an organization will crash because they do not have vision, mission, goals, objectives, there's a high risk that you might crash faster than an organization. So you need to have a clear vision, mission, goals, objectives for yourself. A personal plan. Your vision is, where do I want to be and by when? Again, quantified. Where do I want to be and by when? That's your vision, the dream. From this dream comes the mission. There's a vision comes from ambition and mission comes from religion. So mission are your beliefs. Vision is your ambition. How do you synchronize all these two things and get to your ultimate dream? I'm not saying it's easy, but as long as you have a dream, ladies and gentlemen, at least you can ask yourself when you wake up every morning, am I slowly getting towards my dream? Because it's very sad, young professionals who come to me for interviews, they have done so many different types of courses. Last week, a person came, he has done a technical course, City and Guilds. He has done an accounting course. He has also done a hospitality course. Now see, technical, accounting, hospitality. And maybe spent so many 1,000 minutes. Again, so many 1,000 minutes spent. All these courses take time, right? It is not timeless. Then I asked him, now you have done hospitality, you have done technical, you have done accounting. Now, my friend, where do you want to go? He looked at me. He said, that is the problem. I said, my friend, as long as you know where you want to go, I can help you to get there. But if you don't know where you want to go, how can I help you? I mean, there is a saying, right? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So the only way you can achieve your ultimate destination is when you know exactly where you're going and you have a time frame for that and you have a plan. Please practice this. This is what the young professionals need to get to your final destination. Many people I meet are a little bit lost where they want to go. Now, when you are deciding this, please match it with your passion. Because I am a firm believer, passion drives performance. Passion drives performance. I'm not too sure because I only see the panelist screen here. I do not see the participant screen. Anyway, I will, normally I ask to put the, to raise the hand or raise the hand, give a signal. But let me ask you a question. How many of you wake up every morning and jump out of bed, eagerly waiting to get to work? Ladies and gentlemen, even the people I see, they don't put the hand up. Are you serious? I mean, are you serious that you don't wake up every morning eagerly waiting to get to whatever you have to do? And that's, I am not saying you get out of bed. I want the people to jump out of bed. You jump out of bed, you are eagerly waiting, energetic to deliver what you have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the only way that will drive you to your destination. Now, if you did not put the hand up, maybe there's a problem with your passion and what you are doing. Because if you're not very passionate, why should you jump out of bed to do what you have to do? So find your passion, because that, when you find your passion and match it with your career, and then, you move ahead. I personally don't agree with this title, ladies and gentlemen, work-life balance. I don't believe in the work-life balance. I have a feeling this should be work. This is not work-life balance. It is life-life balance. Life-life balance. Even working is life. If you don't have life, how can you work? So I would rename this from work-life balance to life-life balance. And let me share with you for the next 20 minutes that I have, how do you make the most out of life-life balance? Get up in the morning, earlier the better. Earlier the better. And when you wake up in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, your brain is fresh. Because hopefully you have had a good night's sleep, you wake up, your brain is fresh. So when you wake up in the morning, when your brain is fresh, that is the time you must spend effectively to focus on things that need your brain power. So they say brain power from the time you wake up until 11:20 in the morning, it is at the peak because now you're fresh. So during that time, from the time you wake up to 11:20, do all the challenging tasks where you need to make right decisions. That has to be done before 11:20 p.m. because after 11:20 p.m., your brain power, concentration power slowly goes down. So when the brain power goes down from the peak level, then you start doing your routine work, returning telephone calls. Ladies and gentlemen, to return telephone calls, you really don't need to have a brain. Think, yeah, okay. You don't need to use your brain to return a telephone call. So I suggest you do it in what I call the PM program. You must have an AM program and PM program. AM program is where you use your brain thinking matters. In the AM program, PM program, routine matters. I went into organization to meet the finance director at 8:30 in the morning. As soon as he came to his office at 8:30 in the morning, what did he do? He started signing checks, heaps of checks. As soon as he came to the office, Niranjan, give me a minute. And he started signing checks. So now I'm seated in front of him for about 15 minutes while he's signing the checks. He's the finance director. Then I asked him, now Mr. FD, tell me something. As soon as you came to the office, now you're nice and fresh. The first thing you did was you started signing checks. Do you really need to use your brain to sign the checks? If so, it's fine. But I asked, do you really need to use your brain to sign the checks? He said, no. What, man? Already this payment order is signed by one person, the authorization signed by another person, and the third person also signed. So, I mean, my signature is just routine. Then I asked him, if your signature is just routine, why are you in a big rush? As soon as you come to office, when your brain is fresh, you try to sign these checks. And when you try to sign the checks, you might see a check for a high value. And then you might get upset. My God, how are we going to pay this now? The rest of the day is also finished. Now this is bugging you. I said, please keep this to the PM program. Keep it to the PM program. It's not in the AM program unless it's urgent. 6 months later, he calls and said, Niranjan, wow, it has really made a difference, man, because now in the morning AM program, I face all the challenging tasks in our company. In the PM program, I do the routine work. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the same for you. AM program is where you need to think, brain power. PM program is the routine work you have to do. Please don't get these two mixed up, because then your productivity comes down. If you can make a decision in 10 minutes when your brain is fresh, you might take 20 minutes in the afternoon, late afternoon, to take the same decision. So then 100% loss in the productivity. So get your AM program, PM program done. Please maintain a diary. Another question I like to ask is, how many of you maintain a diary? I normally address many CMA students on the Speechcraft program, and I am quite shocked. Very few people maintain a diary. Now, my question is, if you don't maintain a diary, how can you plan your day? AM program, PM program. Your diary should be like your Bible. It should be meticulous. For me, everything is on the diary, and the advantage of using a diary, some people just use a piece of paper. I think it's not good enough, because the piece of paper can fly away. You lose what is on the piece of paper. Now, if you have a diary and everything is written in the diary, then what you should do is, end of the day, you look at the diary and transfer whatever you could do to the next day, because you couldn't do it today for some reason or the other. Now my diary is here, right? So there are about 8 things that I have to do today. As soon as I finish the CMA presentation, I cut off the CMA presentation. I have another overseas presentation. As soon as I do, I cut that off. If by chance I have not been able to do something, it's not an urgent thing, then what do? Immediately it is transferred to Sunday or Monday. And that way, ladies and gentlemen, you make sure you don't miss out on anything. When you're thoroughly organized and disciplined, that is the foundation for your career growth. I did a research when I was doing my MBA. I did a research between the people who fast-track the career growth and people who sort of so-so on the career growth. The only difference between the people who fast-track the career growth and the others were, people who fast-track the career growth were thoroughly disciplined and organized. And because they're so disciplined and organized, they get the most out of the 1,440 minutes. And they are so organized. This is my morning program. This is my afternoon program. Disciplined, organized. Please get yourself thoroughly organized. And the only way you can be organized is maintain a diary. It can be electronic diary. It can be a book diary. Maintain and make sure that everything is done. Once you know what you have to do, something that you have to maybe also look at is delegation. Delegation. Why am I covering all this in work-life balance? Because a lot of people tell me, Niranjan, you're talking about work-life, man. I don't have the time for anything. I don't have the time for anything. So I asked, okay, so you don't have time to work, you don't have time for life, then how are these 1,440 minutes going? Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking, man. All this is happening because you don't know where you have to invest. Sometimes when you have to find some time, you have to learn to delegate. You have to learn to delegate. I personally had this weakness of not delegating when I started work as an engineer. And then my chairman used to always tell me, Niranjan, delegate. Why didn't I delegate? I didn't delegate because I thought only I can do this. So I was very reluctant to delegate. But my chairman pushed, Niranjan, delegate. Otherwise, how am I going to take over these responsibilities? So because he insisted Slowly, I started delegating. Wow, what a difference it made. Now, I have plenty of time because now there's not only one Niranjan De Silva, there are 6 Niranjan De Silvas. I have delegated to 5 people. I still have the responsibility, but they are accountable. So immediately I move from what I can do to what I can supervise. And then you free up the time. You free up the time to do this life balance. So delegation is crucial to get sufficient time to balance your life balance. The next biggest time waster, which wastes the corporate time and the valuable time that you have to balance your life, is wasted at meetings. Meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, my advice for meetings is, please do not have a single meeting unless the objective of the meeting can be written in 114 characters. This is actually coming from the Harvard University. It says if you are having any meeting and you are unable to write the objective of the meeting in 114 characters, don't have the meeting. Why? Because if you are not very clear what you want to achieve from the meeting, how will the others be clear? So before you have any meeting from Monday onwards, ladies and gentlemen, please write the objective of the meeting in 114 characters, are not words, 114 letters, and you are not allowed to go to even 115. Because if you go to 115, they say, no, clarity is lacking. Once you get this clarity right and the objective right, then please have a start time and a finish time. Have a start time and finish time. Meetings can't be open-ended. This is why most of you might say, where is the time, man? Where is the time? My time has gone, because you have wasted your time in unproductive meetings or unproductive discussions. So always have a start time and a finish time. It will start at 10 and it will finish at 11. Then the people know that this meeting will only take 1 hour. I will go for the meeting at 10. I will come out of the meeting at 11 and I can attend to the rest of my life. Have an agenda, stick to time. And at the end of the meeting, please ask yourself, have I achieved the objective of the meeting? If you have achieved the objective of the meeting, great. Then it's a productive meeting. But at the end of the meeting, if you have not achieved the objective, what is the use of having that meeting? 1 hour wasted. 1 hour wasted. That is 60 minutes wasted. No benefit for anyone. So what's the use? Now I'm going to speak to you for 30 minutes. So how effective my presentation will be, what is your return on the investment on the 30 minutes you have spent with me? At the end of my presentation, if you say, okay, I can take some of these ideas from Niranjan and improve myself, my time is well spent. But at the end of the presentation, if you say, I don't know, man, from what Niranjan said, I don't know what to do. Oh my God. In that case, my time is wasted, your time is wasted. What is the ROI? So please take whatever you think is relevant from my presentation and start incorporating it into your life. You finance people, you have a huge benefit, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know you have a benefit that we as engineers don't have? What is the benefit that you have that none of the other professionals in this country have? You have an opportunity to go international. Sri Lanka has been rated as the #1 country for finance and accounting BPO. BPO means business process outsourcing. That means in the entire world, they say, if you want to outsource your finance and accounting, go to Sri Lanka. There are so many accountants. I know, maybe we can, in the panel discussion, we can also take up how it is in Bangladesh, Maldives. But the fact is, when you're connected with technology, your opportunity is not only local, your opportunities are international. And this is what I say, the blessings in disguise with COVID-19. before Corona, who knew Zoom? Someone told me we are connecting on Zoom. And I asked him, hey, what is Zoom? Then that person told me, Niranjan, what is this, man? You being a CEO of IT company doesn't know what Zoom is. I said, no, I don't know Zoom. Ladies and gentlemen, who knew Zoom before March last year? I was a CEO of IT company and I didn't know, and I was ashamed when that other guy told me, you being a CEO of a IT company, you don't know Zoom. Huh? But today I don't know physical, because everything is on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, we are connecting online. But the advantage is earlier my programs were only in Sri Lanka. Now my programs are international. And here from my comfortable chair at home. No jet lag, no air travel, no losing bags, everything from the comfort of the home. And you have the same benefit for finance and accounting. A lady I know who was working for us some time back told me, called and said, Mr. Niranjan, I asked, where are you working now? No, I am actually now working for 6 companies. I said, really? How? No, because now I'm on assignment basis. I have decided I am not going to work for 1 company. I'm going to work for 6 companies, and therefore I get paid by 6 companies, and some of the payments are in dollars. Possible, no? Technology is you get the finance, accounting, analyze it, upload it. Of course, you have to be knowledgeable about the latest technology. So you have a huge opportunity, and therefore don't let any of these minutes go by. Now we were talking about work, which I call W life, right? Now let's look at the other life. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to have a balanced life. And balanced life means you need to exercise 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. The research shows if you are to be a top professional, ladies and gentlemen, you need to have 150 minutes exercise a week. This has become so serious that in the US and some of the European countries, when you go for an interview, they might ask you, can you please show us your physical fitness record? And if you cannot show them your physical fitness record, ladies and gentlemen, they have said they will be reluctant to recruit them. Why? I understand their thing. Unless you're fit, how can you deliver? Today's world is tough, it's very competitive, and it is a survival of the fittest. And for you to be fit, we are not asking much. We are only asking to exercise 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to swim. Just get out of the road and walk, brisk walk. And if you're walking 3.2 kilometers in 30 minutes, right? That means 2 miles in 30 minutes. So walking means no point doing a cool walk, you know. I mean, that's that. You have to do a bit of brisk walk, right? 3.2 kilometers in 30 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, you do that 30 minutes, 5 days a week, and see how you feel. Because this has a lot of advantages. When you exercise regularly, more blood goes into your brain, and then the brain cells are open to capture the message. Your stress levels go down. Then the brain gets activated with this additional blood. And this is, we are not asking for much. I want all of you who are not exercising 30 minutes a day to start exercising 30 minutes a day from today. Please don't keep it to tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. Take even Corona. Corona, what are they saying? You need sunlight. So wait in the sunlight for about 20 minutes before 11. You get vitamin D. You need sleep. I'm coming to that in a minute. And you need to exercise regularly. You build up your resistance, not only against Corona, you build up your resistance against politics in organizations. The stress level, all this comes when you are fit. So one thing that I'm insisting on is please have a balanced diet. Balanced diet, because I feel Sri Lankan especially, I don't know the other countries, we can have a chat, eat far too much rice. Far too much rice. You know, there's no nutrition in the rice. Nutrition is in the fish and the meat and the vegetables. So don't eat like a mountain of rice. It's very unhealthy. Now, of course, there will be a rice shortage, so you will not get your rice, so which is fantastic. Now, rice shortage, no rice. So, sugar shortage, no sugar. Actually, Sri Lankans are becoming highly sort of healthy now, because all those milk powder is gone, sugar is gone, rice is gone. We will become healthy. Right, so bear with the people for a while, I think it's a good idea. Please exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and you can see for your difference what it will do for you. And of course, sleep. They say you need to have minimum 6 to 7 hours sleep every night. You know, Ranjan Das, one of the most popular high performance CEOs in India. He was the CEO of SAP. Brilliant CEO, one of the top CEOs in the IT fraternity. Ranjan Das was a marathon runner. So one Sunday he goes for a marathon, he comes home, he has a cup of tea, and he's dead. He's dead. And there was no corona at that time. Now, of course, you might think corona heart attack, but there was no corona at that time. This was many years back. And then India was shocked. How did Ranjan Das die? He was such a fit guy, marathon runner, a top CEO. Entire Indian IT fraternity was shocked. They did a biopsy, autopsy, whatever, you know, they couldn't really find the cause of death. Finally, they sent some of his body parts to USA. And the findings were Ranjan Das died because of lack of sleep. Because of lack of sleep. He had been only sleeping about 4 to 5 hours continuously for a month because he was working on a huge SAP project worth millions of dollars. But when the millions of dollars worth SAP order came to the company, Ranjan Das was dead. Ladies and gentlemen, is it worth? The question I want to ask you is, why are we doing all this? Why are you specializing in the finance area? Why are you attending workshops on Saturday, Sunday? We are doing all this to have a good life, right? To have a good quality of life. Now, if you're not healthy, how can you have a good quality of life? Health is wealth. Health is wealth. Even the Buddha said, Arogya Paramalabha. That means health is wealth. You have to be in good health to be a top professional. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to recap, I don't believe in work life. I believe in life-life balance. Find your passion in whatever the job you're doing. Please have an AM, PM program. Slot in. Allocate time for sleeping. 7 hours allocated time for sleeping. It cannot be on time available basis. 30 minutes a day exercise. It cannot be on time available basis. And if you can practice these things, I can guarantee a fast track on your career growth. So the only way to fast track your career growth is be thoroughly disciplined, thoroughly focused, being fit, and you will achieve your dreams. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, maybe we can take it up during the Q&A time. Over to the session, Madam Chairman.
That's, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Niranjan De Silva, business consultant, professional coach, and trainer in communication and self-development. Thank you very much, sir. That was very interesting and very valuable to all us. So let's balance life with life. I would also like to invite you to stay with us and participate to the panel discussion as well. So now it's time to move into the panel discussion. I would like to invite our moderator for the panel discussion, Mr. Puvendran Gajendra, the council member of CMA Sri Lanka, followed by Mr. Niranjan De Silva, our speaker of the session. And also, I would like to introduce our panelists for the session. This is special. We have active students as panelists selected from various institutes representing SAFA member bodies. First, Ms. Gopika, representing Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Ms. Hafsa Adil, Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan. Mr. Inshaf Ahmed, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. And finally, Ms. Shifa Amir, representing Institute of Certified Management Accountants, Sri Lanka. Yes, sir, we invite you to commence the panel discussion now. Over to you.
Thank you, Isru. Before moving to the question, I would like to give each students a brief to give a brief introduction about their work-life balance in personal life. Maybe keep it to 2 to 3 minutes. So I will start with Kobika from India.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes,
you are.
Okay, sir. Very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me such an opportunity. And myself, I'll be introducing myself now. I'm Gopika, and I'm a final pursuing student of doing cost and management accounts India. Okay, and I'll be attending the exam for final in the coming term, that is October. And I'm working as a research associate at the headquarters in Kolkata, that is in India. That's it, sir, about myself.
Right, thank you.
Thank you,
now I move to Mr. Ahmed.
Am I audible?
Yes.
This is to introduce myself.
Yes,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Special dignitaries, honored guests, panelists, student representatives. It's been an honor and privilege to introduce myself. I'm Insha Ahmed from Ernst & Young, Sri Lanka, doing chartered accountancy, the corporate level, and dream is to be an aspiring, humble chartered accountant. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you. Now I like to hear from Hafsa about your work-life balance and how you manage it in Pakistan.
Hello and a very good evening. First of all, I would like to thank SAFA and ICMA Pakistan for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this. Well, if I talk about my work-life balance, so I equilibrize it as my professional and personal life. I list down things and I'll execute it accordingly.
Thank you. Now I move to our own student from CMA Sri Lanka.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for giving me such an opportunity to share my knowledge. And before going to start my topic, let me give you some interview. I'm Shifa Amir. I'm a past finalist of CMA Sri Lanka, and also I'm following chartered accountancy and corporate level, and also I'm a full employee of an audit firm, and also another part of my life, I am a married woman also. And thank you for your time, sir.
Okay, did we miss anybody?
Rajendra, I think we have only 4 participants. I think each one of them have prepared a presentation. So maybe we can go to the presentations.
Yeah, quickly we'll do it. Start by.
Yeah. So maybe
So
go
shall we start?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, is it screen clear and visible?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I would once again thank you everyone for giving me such an opportunity. And I would like to thank my institute also for selecting me or giving me an wonderful opportunity again. And starting with the topic, I think I will start with the quote that is marked by the former chairman of Coca-Cola, that is Brian Dyson. He once said that, imagine our life is like a game in which you are juggling with 5 balls in the air. And you name these 5 balls as work, family, friends, spirit, and health. And you will soon understand that the work is a rubber ball. You know what a rubber ball does. That is, once you put it down, it will bounce back to us. But the other 4 balls, that is a family, friends, spirit, and health, are made of glass. That is, if you drop one of this, then they will irrevocably shatter or they will damage. they will never be the same again. So you must understand that and strive for balance in your life. So this is a general idea about the work-life balance in general. So when moving into the context of work-life balance, we can say that in the present context, the concept of work-life balance has gained immense significance. That is, Mr. Clark defined work-life balance as a satisfaction and a smooth functioning at work and home without the role conflicts. That is, we take the personal life and the professional life in an equal balance way so that there is no role conflicts between the life of us. And it is a manner in which we distribute the time between our personal and the professional life. In the personal life, we have the activities such as the personal pursuits and community involvement, as well as the family, which is very important to maintain, which is always there with us. And the next one is that why do we need a work-life balance? So we can take this in the point of view of two people, that is employees and employers. Since I'm an employee and a research associate, the benefit for me would be the increased productivity, lower absenteeism. Yes, if I am able to manage the work and the life equally, then I will be more involved in the work also. I will be much pretty involved in the work and a happier and a less stressed workforce. Yes. And improvement in employee health and well-being, a more positive perception of you as an employer, and a greater employee loyalty, commitment, and motivation. Motivation is a very important term here because we should have self-motivation as well as the motivation from the employers and the family that we are involved in. And coming to the employers, increase in employee accountability and commitment, teamwork and communication, improved morale, increased engagement and commitment levels, less negative organizational structure, reduce the staff turnover and the recruitment cost, react to changing market conditions. So these are the reasons why we need a work-life balance. And the next would be now coming to the main topic, that is work-life balance of a professional. I am a professional student, that is, I am a very beginner of the professionalism. So to me, the work-life balance are mainly in two dimensions, that is academics and work. As I'm preparing for the coming exams, now I understand what is a real work-life balance. Like Silva sir said, like it's more than, it's a work-life less and life more. I really felt that when he said that. Actually, I'm doing it a lot now, and I'm doing it in a multitude roles also. That is, I am worker to the employers here, I'm a student to the institute, and I'm classmates and friend to some other people also. And most of the people said to me that it would be difficult to carry on your work and your study at the same time. But what I found is that the exposure and the application of the theoretical knowledge into your real life is a magnificent experience that only a few will really understand. And the next one is what's cliche thing that we all have heard, that is overburden of academics and work. But if you manage, or if you manage the time properly, I guess that we can achieve what we want. Like Silver sir said that like we need to plan accordingly. Yes, if we plan everything, then it's possible. And we need to optimize our time very much. We have 1,440 minutes a day. That's a remarkable thing that he said. And the next one is strive to be an achiever and not a perfectionist. This is one of the main important points that I would like to point out. That is, everyone likes to be a perfectionist rather than being an achiever. So what is the difference between an achiever and a perfectionist? Perfectionist is a person who wants everything to be right. But is that possible? Like, we are human. We do make mistakes and it won't be like 100% perfect. But if we are an achiever, we will find the value from what we are doing it, or we will know the worth of what we are doing it. So it is better to be an achiever rather than a perfectionist. And the next is the importance of time management and stress management, because as we balance both the work and the life, the important role of the time and stress comes in a very large way. And stress, this can affect your health, and mentally a lot. So you need to take care of that also. And the next is continuous motivation. For continuous motivation, I have to motivate myself for this, as well as my employers motivate me for doing the work as well as to study. And due to the motivation, that is one of the reasons that I am here today presenting in front of you all. And the next one is to make an important career decisions. Like I said, if we apply the theoretical knowledge into our real life, it will be able to help to make important career decisions. And the next one is sacrifice of self-care culture. That is, if we are, while doing the work and the life or balancing the life, sometimes we miss a me time, that is for a time for ourselves. This is a part of work-life balance, and I think that's one of the drawback that I have felt. And work from home scenario since pandemic, that is, the coronavirus, the novel pandemic has begun, and work from home was very much hectic in the beginning, but now everyone has adapted it and they are able to manage the work and their life in an equal manner. But in the beginning, it was a bit difficult, but now everyone is adaptable to it. And the next one is, how can we ensure a good work-life balance? We need to manage time, stress, and personal. As I said, in order to manage time, we need to write out every day what we have to do. A to-do list is made, and we have to write the goal and set up the day. And it can make a big difference. And personally, I have done that, and it's working out for me also. And the next is stress management. That is, it is very difficult for a work and life to go in the same hand. So it is better that we take a lot of, or we involve in exercises, and we take care of our health in order to reduce the stress. And personal management is regarding the time we spend for the family. That is, work is not everything. We need to spend time for our family also. This is what about how we can ensure a good work-life balance. And the next is about, I'm concluding everything, that is by a quote, that is, work-life balance is not an entitlement or benefit. Your company cannot give it to you. You have to create it for yourself. That's it, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gopika, for your wonderful presentation. Now I will move to Hafsa to do her presentation.
Tarindu, can you please put Hafsa's presentation, because she needs
yes,
cover.
Okay, sure. So can you please stop that presentation?
Gopika, can you please
yes,
remove
sir,
the screen? Yeah. Right now, Tarindu, you can put the presentation.
Can you see, sir, that presentation?
Yeah, we can see now. We can see.
Okay, perfect. Well, I totally agree with Gopika, as we are professionals and we are the beginners. We need to maintain our work-life balance. Please, can you make the next slide?
Tarindu.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to work-life balance, I like to start it with agenda. Okay, so in this presentation, we will be discussing work-life balance, its significance, how we as professionals can build new value system, what are the reasons for poor work-life balance. I also make some surveys. So there will be global perspective versus local perspective. And then we will be having factors for building work-life balance, and then keynotes. Next, please. Okay. So as I mentioned in my intro as well, that work-life balance, there is a conception that giving your 50% time at work and 50% time at home makes a work-life balance. Well, basically it's imbalance. I explained work-life balance as equilibrize personal and professional life in a sustainable way. For me, work-life balance is a cycle, not an achievement. Ideally, it keeps our energy flowing, minds and bodies healthy. It keeps ourselves happy and satisfied. Next, please. Okay, so what are the significance of our work-life balance? Well, it makes us less stress-free. It improves our mental health. It maintains our physical health, improves our relationship, increase engagement at work and in studies. That is obvious because we plan it and then we execute it. So it do increase our productivity. And then it increase our creative thinking, right? It makes us more productive. It brings higher level of success in our life, either as a professional or as a personal individual. It makes a balanced lifestyle and enhance our ability to be present, either at work or either at home. Next, please. Okay, so this is the value system which I was talking about. I have done some research, and then I had put two scenarios that were, the left one is old and the right one is new. There is a stereotype that before people left to work, there is individual achievement, corner office, let's just do your work and that's it. And they are concerned about the prestige, right? Now, as per new value system, we need to create a culture that supports work-life balance, where we will be work to live, group oriented, flexible schedules, and giving back. If someone is doing something to us, we are giving back to them. So I believe this approach has been adopted by all of us as we are professionals, and we are going to implement this in our futures. Next. As I mentioned before, poor work-life balance, that we make a 50-50. So what are the circumstances that makes work-life balance imbalance? We all understand that due to this pandemic, we are working from our home, and the responsibilities and the workload has to increase, right? Because we felt that we are working from home, let's do it. So we are working all the time. We are taking inappropriate sleeping hours. Exercise has been excluded from our daily routine, which I believe everyone will agree on this. We have inappropriate eating habits because working all the time, we have online delivery available and we can get anything in a minute, right? We are not investing in our personal relationship. We are starting our day unplanned because working all the time, we just switch off our laptops lately, and then we again wake up afternoons and then we open it. So we don't have time to plan our days, right? And then we continuous emphasize on work and check our emails late into night. So that all is causing our work-life balance imbalance. Next, please. Okay, this is the global perspective that I have taken from our research, that work-life balance ranked number 3 out of the top 10 benefits that attract employees to a potential employer. 92% of the organization offer at least 8 work-life balance initiatives, and 47% use such initiative to recruit and retrain employees. Today, 24/7 virtual availability achieved through internet have changed the work landscape, which we all agree. 3 key barriers, which before, when I don't plan my days, I believe I also face it all the time, but now I am overcoming it. A lack of flexible work policies and practices, the availability and affordability of dependent care, and the negative impact of work overload. 4 key barriers, which before, when I don't plan my days, I believe I also face it all the time, but now I am overcoming it. A lack of flexible work policies and practices, the availability and affordability of dependent care, and the negative impact of work overload. 5 key Work-life imbalance leads to disengagement of professional students from work and study. Both leads to unfavorable outcomes for all stakeholders. Next, please. Okay, well, this is a local survey which I myself conducted during this pandemic to see that what all professionals are going through. I made a Google form and I shared it with all my friends because all are professional, all are working from home. So everyone come out with increased work responsibility, right? Due to professional norms, they have a job insecurity due to COVID, no time management, they are not scheduling their days, they are not even learning to say no because they are that much insecure about their jobs. No curricular activities, they are not giving treat to themselves, they are not planning their activities to reduce stress, their personal relationships are being harmed, no time for family, and their diet is unbalanced. Unhealthy eating habits. Next, please. Okay, so after all this, knowing the fact that there is a poor work-life balance and what we are going through, how after this presentation we can build up work-life balance, right? That should be our resolution after this presentation, surely. So we can track our time and schedule our day. Okay, we are going to determine our priorities. We are going to set specific goals. We are going to establish boundaries. Okay, we are going to prioritize our health. We will be spending more time with our family. We are going to give some time from our daily routine and make a time for ourselves. Like after the day end, we are going to sit with ourselves. We'll get the day we all plan, and we are going to ask ourselves how we have treated ourselves as of today. Then we are going to leave work at work. No need to check emails after late nights. We are going to work smarter, not harder. We need to delegate work effectively. You know, we need to stop this habit that whenever any senior asks us to do work, we'll say, yeah, give, and do all. No, we need to delegate. Now we need to ask for assistance. And lastly, we need to take vacations. It's really, really important to take vacations to take care of yourself. Next. Okay, I'm sure these key takeaways are going to help you in your future. Let's get the keynotes from this presentation. Planning your day is mandatory. Overcome the conflict of career making. And we need to understand that career is a part of life and not the whole of it. So stop working all the day, plan it, and then execute things accordingly. Okay? It is an individual choice to opt for mindful or mindful. Don't let yourself become inactive. Exercise regularly, take power naps, cherish moments, and most importantly, unplug yourself from negativity. When there is a boiling point arising, give yourself a break, sit back, relax, revive, come back to work, study, and give your best. I believe that that's it from my side.
Thank you, Hafsa, for your presentation. And we'll move to Ms. Amir now.
Okay. Thank you for giving me such an opportunity to share my own thoughts, and I'll share the screen right now. Can you see this? Can you all see? Yeah.
Yes, can see.
Okay, fine. So can anyone guess who is this? Can you know anyone? This, the picture? Okay. Yeah, she is one of the most powerful women and related to today's topic. Yeah, she is the 5th CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi, and she is the one of the related to my personal life too. So I'm going to start. When we are thinking like there's a work-life balance, just it's going to be, we imagine a situation where we got to the office, it's going to be extremely productive day at the working, after that we leaving after office to home, and rest of the day we can spend our time with our family and the things. But while sometimes it seems not possible at all the time, right? And when that time, I usually try my maximum to plan a schedule, whatever I'm going to do and rest of the day, and what are the works going to finish today or that day, and how I'm going to spend with family and friends rest of the day. So, but this is totally changed after the work from home concept, because I already said I'm not only a professional student, right? I'm playing most role. I'm a student and I'm a housewife, and also I'm an employee. I'm a senior auditor at my office. So I need to play most of the role. But while I'm being at home, it's sometimes it's quite impossible to follow my routine life. So that time I don't never strive for a realistic one. After that, I just plan my works according to my mental health and physical health also. That time, I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful supporting husband to complete my task also. So that time he only motivates me. You can play this like this, and because I wanted to play my daughter-in-law role also. So he always motivates and he always supported. You can be a very good in a position, your career like that. And one more thing, as the Niranjan De Silva sir said, I usually sleep whatever happened at 7 hours per day, because that is one of my stress pill. Because if I don't get any rest, if I work without any rest, I got confused of my work. Sometimes I couldn't complete my work also. If I take rest or simple or take a snap also, I can get more energy to work with my healthy and energetic way, and easily complete my task rather than not taking rest also. And finally, I want to tell, I make myself and my loved ones for allocate time for them. So I know my job is important, because this is a part of life, but it's not an entire life, right? So I just love my job, because I'm being an auditor, I work with numbers. So what I loved, only I have chosen this job. And also I'm enjoying my family life also, because I love my husband too. This is how I balance my life and my work career. Then I want to tell you all, no matter how hectic the life is, you are the responsible person. You only keep balance between the work and life. Over to you, Bhuvendra sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll quickly move to Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. Distinguished guests, dignitaries, moderators, panelists, and aspiring chartered accountants, it's my privilege and honor to speak to you. Now, right, amongst the different phases of our lives, the life phase of a student plays a unique role. Now, why I tell unique role is that this is the exact phase where, as professional students, we build ourselves, our character, our conduct, our morale, our attitude. And most importantly, this is the exact phase where we build our responsibility towards ourselves and towards our community at large. Now, different perceptions. I would like to totally agree with the preceding speakers, starting from DGM Niranjan De Silva to Ms. Shifa. There is nothing called the concept of work and life balance. There is definitely life and life balance. Now, different professional students have different perceptions in this concept, where certain students say it as work and life balance, while certain students take it as work or life balance, while certain students incorporate both together, work and life, and take it as wife balance. I was kidding. Now, my dear members in the forum, DGM Mr. Niranjan De Silva, let me ask you a very simple question. If you could unmute yourself and answer me the definition of the word life in one single sentence.
Life is who you are.
Definitely. I would like to vouch myself for your humble opinion. And I would like to add a few key points into your opinion as well. For me, life is B, C, and D. Now, why I tell B, C, and D is B for birth, D for depth, and C is for choices. Now, why I tell C for choices is that oftentimes we as professional accountants, we as professional students, forget ourselves with the tight schedule that it is these choices that we make in our lives that will turn out to be our future in the years to come. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of us could relate that we have friends who work tired and hefty for an entire week just to survive 2 days of the weekend. Anyone? I'm pretty sure. And I'm also pretty sure that we have our very own friends who are working very tired again, but hate their jobs, but they do. I'm pretty sure, because as per the previous speakers, like Ms. Gopika, Ms. Hafsa also mentioned, there is an increasing tendency with the researches that have been conducted in the recent past that people are unsatisfied with their work. And that is the truth. Now, my dear respected people in the forum, we know although the concept means work and life balance 50-50, there is certainly an imbalance in the concept. And now we know there is a problem in this concept, and we need to find out the reason why. And that why is the most important and critical part. According to me, that why is because we tend to define the word success in our very own terms. Let me be more precise. When a celebrity or any successful person posts a picture or a snap or a click in social media or in their lives, I bought a big Lamborghini, I bought a huge mansion, I have so much of gold in my life, that is success for them. Whereas success for you means passing your exams, getting through your grades, living a happy life, making your parents proud, becoming the CEO of a multinational company. So my dear respected people in the forum, let's define success, the meaning of the word success in our very own definitions initially. And number two, we definitely have a problem. And now we know we need a solution. Now, Inshaf, what is your solution? I have a very practical, but yet a simple solution. Let's define and differentiate what work is and what life is. Like what Mr. Niranjan De Silva mentioned. If what we work in our offices is not part of our lives, then what are we working for? Let me be more clear. If the time that we spend in our offices, the time that we spend with our family, the time that we give for our friends, the time that we give for our community, society is not what we call life, then why are we giving our time? Then why are we investing our 1,440 minutes, 86,440 seconds of our valuable life there? So my dear respected people in the forum, let's define what life is and let's define what work is. And let's understand that work, life, friends, family, community, society are just part of our lives. My dear people, in a nutshell, let's love the life we live in order to live the life we love. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I will move to Mr. Niranjan. From the presentation, Mr. Niranjan, do you think our students are managing their work-life balance well?
I think they are managing it very well, because I'm very happy all of them covered the importance of work-life balance and how they are doing it. And I must say, overall, the presentations were also outstanding. You know, I am a Toastmaster. I think that must be why INSAF called me DTM. I was wondering how the Toastmaster thing came here. The presentations were spot on. And you kept to the theme, and I'm very happy that all of you are following this. Now it's up to you to educate all your team members and make them also be in line with what you are doing, because you are practicing it. And if there's one brand ambassador for work-life balance in an organization, the entire organization can be groomed. The problem is if there is no brand ambassador, we have a problem. So I think I found here 4 top-class brand ambassadors for work-life balance. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
My next question also to you, sir. Now, most of the complaints we are hearing from is, since most of them are working from home, they have to work all the time. If it is in office, they are 8 to 5 or something like that. What are your points on that?
Thank you for that question. This is something that comes up very often because I work with many companies. I really cannot understand this, why it should be that way. And all the high performers of the company that I'm working with are people who are very disciplined. They do not put the computer on till 8:30 in the morning because they go to office at 8:30 in the morning. They do not, and they switch off the computer around 7:30 in the night. So I asked, why are you switching off the computer at 7:30 in the night without switching off at 6 o'clock in the evening? Then they said, Mr. Niranjan, we are saving 1.5 hours travel time. So I don't want to use the time saved in the traveling for my personal benefit. I want to give that back to the company. Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself how much time you have saved in the travel time. Average person spends 1 to 1.5 hours on traveling. Now you have 1 to 1.5 hours extra with you. So why should you be working round the clock? My advice to you, that comes in that discipline part. Start on time, finish on time. One company that I'm working with, they shut down the server at 6 p.m. That's it. That means whatever you have to do for the day has to be submitted before 6 p.m. 6 p.m. the server is shut down. Now that also brings in a level of discipline where you have to deliver to time. If you are in office, you don't say, can I deliver this at 12:30 a.m.? No. You have to deliver it at 6 o'clock. So what I'm saying is the same discipline that you had in office, if you have it at home, you have an added bonus, the travel time that has been saved.
Thank you, sir. Now, finally, I like to give 1 minute or more to anyone if they want to ask any question from Mr. Niranjan De Silva.
Gajan, I think there's a question from the audience. I think Deshapriya is asking about the time spent on the road for traveling.
Yes, I think that is Mr. Niranjan touched little ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's enormous time saved by people not going to office. Furthermore, when they spend about 1.5 hours and go to office, they are sometimes quite tired. 1.5 hours on the road in traffic jams. Now you wake up, you have a cup of tea, you're nice and fresh at 8:30, come to your computer, wow, your productivity is 100% more than spending 1.5 hours and going to office. And because we have this Gopika tuning in from India, Tata Consulting, in India is one of the largest consulting companies. I read an article that they have 400,000 people working for them. And they have decided out of 400,000 people, 325,000 people will permanently work from home. Permanently, ladies and gentlemen. So this work from home, Zoom, Microsoft Teams is not because now Corona. It will be a way of life. And we have to be comfortable to work with life and see the huge saving for that company where 350,000 people work from home. The real estate is given up, huge saving in rental. No tea, coffee service. Now, what did they do with the savings? With the savings, first they gave an air conditioner allowance. They told the team members to buy air conditioner because you had to be comfortable in your workplace. And many homes in India, Sri Lanka, we don't have air conditioning. So they gave an air conditioner allowance to buy air conditioner for your workplace. They also gave an electricity allowance to pay for electricity for the air conditioner. Still, there was a huge saving. And I heard now they are even planning to give a nice, comfortable chair. A nice, comfortable chair. You sit on it for 8 hours, you feel you have only sat there for 2 hours. See, the investment companies are doing. Even after you do all that, huge saving on cost. This is very important for you finance people. You will find that the return on the investment goes way high now because your cost will come down significantly with permanently work from home. And some people were saying there were social problems. Initially, there were social problems, but there is a way of getting over social problems also. There's a good friend of mine. I mean, his life is social. I mean, in the evening, before the pandemic, in the evening, you call him after 7, his social life, socializing, a clubbing man. So I was feeling very sorry, man. I mean, how is this guy surviving now with these lockdowns? So I called him the other day. He said, Niranjan, how are you, man? Nice to hear from you. I said, hey, what are you doing, man? No, I'm having a drink with some of my friends. I said, how can you have a drink with some of your friends when total lockdown? No. It's like this, Every evening, 7 o'clock, we connect on Zoom. Right? Those days I used to only meet with the Sri Lankans. So now we are connecting with the people in Australia, UK, America. So we connect on Zoom. I get my drink. He gets his drink. We say cheers. Have the drink and have a fantastic discussion, man. I mean, we couldn't do this before the lockdown, no? So this is better than before Corona. Blessings in disguise from Corona. Over to you, Session Shah.
Thank you, sir. I think most of us get the ROI from Mr. Niranjan D. Silva's time. Thank you, and I will hand it over to your moderators to do the needful. Thank you.
Isuru and Hafsa.
Yeah. Thank you very much to all the representatives for giving us interesting and informative discussion about work-life balance of professionals. Thank you very much, Sir Gajendran and Sir Niranjan D. Silva. Now, we are at the end of CMA Sri Lanka International Students Conference. I cordially invite Secretary of CMA Sri Lanka Student Guild, Ms. Sandeepani Madhushika, to deliver the word of thanks. Over to you.
Good evening, all. Honorable Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala, respected Vice President Mr. Hennayaka Bandara, our most valued invited guests, all the other council members and students. It is my great privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this special day. First, I extend my gratitude to CMA President Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala on behalf of the CMA Sri Lanka and the entire CMA Students Guild for providing guidance, encouragement, and continued support at every point and in all our efforts towards making this event a success. And I would like to express vote of thanks to our Vice President, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara. He guided us at each time by committing his valuable time to make this event more meaningful. I would like to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt thanks to our guest speakers for making excellent presentations and turning this conference in interesting and knowledgeable one. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Ruchira Pereira for his immense support, contribution, and words of encouragement. And we are extremely thankful to the council members who took the challenge and made sure that this event is a memorable one. We all are grateful for their commitment and support behind the screen. I take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to all CMS staff and volunteers for working hard for the past few days to make this event successful. I need to mention my deepest sense of appreciation to all of them. And I would like to thank CMS Student Skill for providing support contribution to make this event successful. We would like to acknowledge our gratitude for foreign institutions for accepting our invitation. And finally, I would like to express my vote of thanks to all the students who are present here for paying attention. Thank you for staying with us during these 2 days. Once again, thank you everyone for all your support and encouragement to make this a successful event. With that note, we will be officially winding up the 3rd Students' Conference of CMS Sri Lanka. And we look forward to with you very soon when we are conducting the SAFA Quiz and Elocution Contest to celebrate the World Accounting Day 2021. We will share the details of the competition with you in the near future. We do hope that all of you will take part in the contest to showcase your elocution and subject knowledge to the SAFA community. Thank you and stay safe.
Sandipani, before we wind up, actually about the last point that you mentioned about the SAFA elocution and quiz competition, I thought of mentioning something here. Actually, we are conducting this SAFA elocution and quiz competition this time. It will be held to celebrate the World Accounting Day in November. So CMA Sri Lanka is conducting the quiz competition as well as the elocution competition. We will share the details with you. So we hope, like you participated today, we hope we will be having representatives and teams from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Of course, Bangladesh students are not here today because they're having exams, but we do hope that they will join for the competitions. And also from CA Sri Lanka, CMA Sri Lanka, we are going to have an international competition. So please participate and showcase your skills as well as your speaking skills. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for joining again. So we'll wind up the session now. Maybe Professor Wattawala can say something.
Yeah, I think let me thank the chairman of the committee, Mr. Ruchira, and also our Mr. Gajendran, who was there. The last session was, I think, extremely well done, and it is really a lesson for everyone. I think working the work-life balance plus time management, that was something what Mr. Niranjan Disillo gave an excellent presentation. But this 2-day conference has been extremely well planned, and also we had excellent speakers starting from the first day itself with the SAFA President, Professor Ho, and many other sessions that have done extremely well. So I must congratulate the Students Guild, our chairman, Mr. Ruchira Pereira, our vice president, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara, Mr. Uendran Gajendran, and there were a number of council members who also took part in the conference, and also our representatives from the different countries who have very, very ably performed their tasks. So let me once again thank everyone. And this is the international conference on building a better future for accounting professionals. And I'm sure that each one of you would have definitely gained certain points which will help you in your career progression, in your professional life, and of course passing the exams and then becoming fully qualified professional accountants. And many of them are now professional accountants in business, which is something that will help the economies of all the countries. So once again, let me thank everyone and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ruchira. Thanks. So we will finish off then. Okay.